Hello everyone and welcome to the Simply Race VMO BTCC charity event in support of the Trussell Trust working to stop UK hunger and poverty, which is so very crucial in these unprecedented times. So today we'll bring you some touring car racing, put on a good show for you all sat at home and give you that fix of racing that you've been missing out on. Lewis played alongside me, Cameron Roger, head honcho of FSR. Cam, touring car racing, not really your forte, but I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing 32 cars bombing it around this brand's Indy circuit.
Yes, not something that I've been overly used to over the years, but it's certainly good fun from what I've seen. And this brand's Indy track is effectively 4 corners long, so the racing is going to be really close, and these touring cars also help that as well. So I'm expecting pretty much all 32 cars to be nose to tail for the whole of the 3 20-minute races that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you a rundown of what we're expecting. You can see a couple of drivers throwing it around the circuit at the moment. Of course, we've got a very strong grid here today. A lot of invitational drivers, a lot of drivers that have gone through a pre-qualifier. More on that in a moment. The rundown of what we've got to expect today. Once this practice session ends, in about 11 minutes time, we'll be going into a qualifying session, which is 50 minutes long. It's open, so I mean, they're going to have all cars on track. I was originally told it was private, but you know, we fancied having a bit of fun. So 50 minutes, everyone on track at the same time. We'll see who can grab that pole position. My favourite probably head to some of those that have done the pre-qualifier, like Chris Butcher, Ryan Elliot, that lot. All very, very quick in qualifying. Then we do 3 races, classic BTCC stuff. Race 1, followed by race 2, which is race 1 grid order, and then race 3, which is a reverse grid. So pretty standard. You watch touring cars, you know what to expect. Going to be good fun. But for some of these drivers, maybe not the most experienced in the sim racing world. Cam, you think they're going to get up to speed with the proper sim racers?
Well, we've certainly been seeing that there's a few names out there who are getting up to speed. Obviously, the sim racers have an advantage with respect to being used to the actual nuances of driving on a sim compared to real life. But I'm sure when we get to the racecraft, I mean, if you look, for instance, Colin Turkington, BTCC champion in 8th position. So he's obviously up the top, but when we get into that racecraft as well, that is, I think, where they're going to really shine.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, Colin Turkington has done some stuff at Simply Racing. It's not you know, his first time doing some sim racing. He's done his fair amount. But seeing him here, you know, of course, the 4 times BTCC champion, my hero, not gonna lie. Of course, one of the strongest drivers in modern touring cars, and now takes on some sim races. I'm not gonna lie, if I was a driver seeing drivers like that in my rearview mirror, I'd be like, oh, I'm feeling a bit of pressure. I'm feeling a bit nervous just because of the name. And
I have to say, it's a really amazing thing that sim racing has got to a point where things like this can happen. Obviously, due to the circumstances in the real world, it is enhancing events such as this, but it's amazing that you can get these people who are doing this effectively as a hobby for fun, and then you get these, you know, big names in the real world of motorsport come in. It really, you know, adds that bit extra to sim racing and makes it feel like it's more than just, you know, playing a game. It's actually becoming a bit more relevant and serious.
Absolutely. Now, to give you a bit of an idea of who's bringing this to us, of course, VMO and Simply Race working together to bring us this event. Let's take a look at what they've been up to. Currently then on screen, obviously thank you to VMO and Simply Race in here to support the Trussell Trust. Currently though on screen we've got Daniel Hyde, who of course we've got 32 drivers on the grid. We've had some that have gone through the pre-qualifier, some that have been invited. This man though, the highest bidder, as it were, for a wildcard seat. There was 2 wildcard seats, and highest bidder. So massive support from him. £150. That's a lot of money. And so massive thanks to him. Good to see him out on track. Obviously hugely supportive of the event, and it's good to see someone bring that to the table. Of course, just as an FYI, if you want to donate, if you want to help us out, if you want to help out the Trussell Trust and really support just everything in this time with everything that's going on, of course support the food banks, you can do that. So there's a linky link in the description. If not, you can just type in tiny.cc/SRTCUK. There'll be a link that pops up at the bottom as well. Just spot it. Whatever you can give would be greatly appreciated, of course. That said, despite being a wildcard, despite being people being invited and whatever, look at how strong this grid is. I know it's 4 corners. I know it's only 4 corners. 20 drivers though, separated by 0.48 of a second.
It's going to be close. That's all we can say. And especially when you see the top 20 cars going into Paddock Hill Bend on the first lap of the first race, it's just going to be insane. And the qualifying is going to be quite interesting because, as you say, it's only a couple of tenths here and there, which means if you make a mistake, you could either be in 5th or you could be in 25th.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit of qualifying around here. I think my highest qualifying across 7 or 8 attempts is like 4th, because to get a lap right around here, if you want pole around here, like this is truly a circuit where the pole time can be nothing but perfection. Because the thing is, around longer circuits, you can almost afford to miss an apex. You can afford to take a line slightly wrong and to do this then to that. You can kind of afford it. Like a snap, it's what, 2 minutes. You can afford a little bit in there. And still pull it back elsewhere. Around here, there is no time to pull it back, and you're going to get so many laps in qualifying. It's I wouldn't want to be out there qualifying at the moment. Needless to say, it is looking pretty strong, and some real touring car drivers as well getting involved at the top. You can see there on the left-hand side, of course, Daniel Rowbottom did his inaugural season in the British Touring Car Championship. Also, only set up his computer about 20 minutes ago. Comes in though, 3rd place at the moment. That's a pretty solid effort.
Yeah, and basically he's only a blink of an eye off pole position, or he isn't quite into qualifying yet, but blink of an eye off the top spots at the moment, which means when we get to the qualifying session, for instance, if Butcher and Bennett make a slight mistake, then that could be him on pole position, which is just how close it is. And even the top 8 are within a tenth, as you say, 2 tenths of the top 11. It's just crazy how close it is. And I was doing some laps here the other day, and it is just unbelievable how actually quick these cars are. Because some people think, touring cars quite slow, but on a track like this, it's so tight and twisty. These cars are actually properly quick and on the limit.
That's not what you said yesterday, though. Wasn't what you said a few days ago, was it?
They're still slow. They're still slow compared to sort of stuff that are more used to being around. But on a tight track like this, it is crazy, like how quick you can go through some of these corners.
Obviously, Cam is a bit more of an open wheel driver. Let's go with that. Apparently, Max Coates has just been off. Or just boffed someone off the road. Hopefully we don't see too much of that, but I'm sure there'll be some people out there having a bit of fun, and we've got 31 drivers. Who was the one? It was Alex Sedgwick, I think, was the one that we're missing at the moment through computer issues, so unfortunately we are down 1, but needless to say, it's still a big grid for some of these drivers. Might be one of the bigger grids they've actually raced on, to be fair.
It certainly is, and that's something that you've got to get used to very quickly. As we said, when you get into turn 1 on lap 1, that's when it's all going to hit you and realise that this is quite close, quite tight, and you've really got to be on it. Otherwise, people are just going to be dive bombing you down the inside into every braking zone.
Absolutely. Of course, there are some people on this grid that will be much more experienced than others. Of course, currently top in this practice session, Chris Butcher, for those of you sat at home, don't really understand most of the some of the names on here that you don't really recognise, the likes of Chris Butcher, Dan Cowell, and all that lot. Chris Butcher was the runner-up in the GPVWC International Touring Cup last year, as well as taking part in many things over at TPS. He's been in sim racing for a very, very long time. Ex-THR driver, which is a team that used to be very, very good. So drivers like that. You've also got Dan Cowell, who's a two-time runner-up in the WSR British Virtual Touring Car Championship. Daniel Hurlock, the guy directly behind him, was second in a season. I won. I've got to get it in there, it's fine. John Munro is a driver who's sort of returning to sim racing at the moment, but the Scotsman, monstrously quick. Ex-CHR, ex-teammate with Chris Butcher. Monstrously fast driver, does hill climbs and that, like, obviously not really much at the moment. Very, very impressive driver. So, you know, there's so many drivers across this grid that have got plenty of experience in sim racing, in motorsport, and now we get to see them have a lot of fun.
And a lot of fun it is certainly going to be. Just a couple more seconds before we move into this qualifying session, and I believe every car will be on track for this qualifying session as well, so it is going to be crazy to try and get your laps in. They only have 15 minutes to do it, so that's really, if they're only doing one lap runs, there's really only going to be maybe 10 laps maximum that they're going to get, and if some of them you get hindered by traffic, that's going to mix up the grid even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I think you brought this up before the broadcast as well. We had 15 drivers that qualified to get onto this grid. Of course, it was a pre-qualifier. It was a £5 donation entry, I think it was. So massive thanks to everyone who took part in that. And there is one driver who couldn't take part, which is Alex Toft-Jones. And that's where, he's in hospital at the moment as well. We do wish him well, especially considering everything at the moment. So, thoughts with Alex Toft-Jones. Calum Wilson is the one who's replaced him. Currently in 19th position, half a second off. That's a pretty strong time. Well, let's be honest, everything's a strong time around here. Not Paul ONeil though. He's down at the back. You'd expect better from him, but whatever. He's taken part in sim racing. He did the race All Stars Esports Battle thing. He did that a couple of times, and now gets to drive cars that he should be good in.
Yeah, and so did
Mike
Epps, I believe. Also did the race All Stars. So they've had a recent experience in sim racing, and it looks like we are now just moving to the qualifying session.
We are indeed. Mike Epps was the highest pro in the race All Star Esports Battle yesterday. Also won in the Virtual Endurance Championship as well.
Did he do the VEC?
He did. He took over the number 97 from Matt Richards and Goran Djordjevic. Although Goran Djordjevic isn't here. Matt Richards is one of the people behind VMO, bringing you the event. Mike Epps took over for the final hour. Looked absolutely fine. Took victory.
Good stuff. Good to see that they're getting involved, because obviously they want to want people with sort of more experience, and even real racers in the real world want to keep on getting that bug for racing, and that is certainly what sim racing does. And now all the drivers are coming out to do their outlaps, and they are very close together, has to be said. 32 drivers on this, basically four-corner track.
The slipstream is actually going to be crucial here, although it's not going to be particularly difficult to pick up the slipstream, is it? Around a track like this, we're currently looking at Abbie Eaton, of course, signed to drive in W Series throughout 2020. Let's ignore that, shall we? Had a little bit of experience in touring cars, taking part in the Sand Show Fun event. Jack Nicholls and that lot taking part in that. Myself included as well. I bumped everyone off. But Abbie Eaton, of course, test driver for the Grand Tour as well. So plenty of experience in cars. Now gets to take some sim racing. Didn't seem too keen in that, but I think the more she does. Of course, a bit of a star in. Let's not watch that. Desperate to try and get some track position here.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. You'd think this is the race with how some of these drivers are racing at the moment, and we've got quite a few times coming in, so we're going to do our best to keep up with all of them at the moment. Ryan Elliot goes straight to the top on a 47.1, which is a very good time if you can get right down into the low 47s.
Yeah, that is a massive time. Fastest first sector came the way of Colin Turkington. Of course, that is one thing to note, is that there are people in different cars. They are balanced ever so slightly differently. The most cars you'll see out here are the Vauxhalls. We've got some BMWs. Of course, Colin Turkington in a BMW. Why wouldn't he be? Daniel Rowbottom. Of course, he is in a Mercedes. And Dankel, fastest qualifiers, picked the Ford and shocked to absolutely no one in the sim racing community. Currently looking at Jiggy Gornall. Oh, there's a bit of a crash in front of him, though, which we're about to see. Dodges his way through that. But yeah, currently Ryan Elliot, close friend of his, Max Tad, moves up into 4th position, I think. Oh, it was Dave Marshall moved up in 2nd, maybe. This is going to be a monstrously quick qualifying session.
Yeah, and such is the way with the qualifying session. I mean, some of these drivers are down into the 50 seconds because they're obviously just getting stuck with traffic, haven't been able to get a clean lap just yet. No one's doing purple sectors just at the moment, but there's a lot of green sectors, which means they're doing personal best and will be improving their times. Bennett has just jumped into 2nd place on a 47.2, but he's still got Ryan Elliot there with over a 10th gap, and as we said how close it is, a 10th is huge around here.
Yeah, it is a monstrous margin. By the way, this driver that we're looking at, is the driver that's signed to do BTCC this year. His first season, won the Mini Challenge last year and is now moving up into the British Touring Cars. Of course, Mini Challenge is now going to become the feeder series. It's going to replace the Renault Clio Cup UK. So that's all swapping around. Currently looking at Jonny Wilkinson, who is a Formula 4 driver, as far as I know. I think he's in Ginetta GT5s these days, or of some description. I've got a big list of information. There's a lot to get to. Currently, though, at the top of the session, Dan Calum moves his way up into the top 6. Colin Turkington remains as the highest pro. There's a Gran Turismo commentator, Tom Brooks. Of course, Chaz Draycott as well. Those two are in custom liveries. You'll see them, they'll ever so slightly flipped around. So one's white on the left, black on the right, and the other one's the other way around, obviously. But Tom Brooks joining us here. To be fair, if he's been sort of up there in qualifying, I know obviously it doesn't sound great, 26th, whatever, but that's actually perfectly decent, because it means you're going to be definitely within a second. So that's pretty handy.
And we just had Rob Cross go to 8th position. He got a purple first sector, but that was still only good for 8th position, despite being fastest on 1/3 of the track. Butchie
to the line, currently in P7, set a personal best in the first sector. Not really a great second sector, moves up into 4th position, 0.153 off of the pole time. So he's moved his way up the order. Currently looking at Mike Epps. Ryan Elliott's time is still good enough for pole, and still over a 10th clear of Dave Marshall. That 47.160 is going to take some beating, that is for sure. What was the fastest time? He's done a 1:02 on the server. Daniel Hurlock, ex-teammate, still teammate? I'm assuming they're still teammates. Were 1:2 on the server prior to this, a 1:02 and a 1:53. Personal best and fastest first sector comes the way of Luke Bennett. By the way, as well, track cuts are on, as far as I'm aware, as far as I was told. So we might expect a few drive-through penalties through the race. But what that does mean in the qualifying session is the laps you see are legit, because as soon as you go over those track limits, you get basically the lap removed. Luke Bennett did not complete that lap. Yeah, he got some traffic in the final corner, I saw, but that is just the nature of this. Unfortunately, it's you can't always get your lap in, but that is what is pretty good about this as well, is that you really have to make it count when you get a clear lap. Yeah, Max Coates, the 2019 Renault Clio Cup UK runner-up. He's moved off to Mini Challenge, its replacement. Currently moved up into the top 10. Another driver in a custom livery. As we watch Bobby Thompson coming through the final corner. Is he on a lap? He is on a lap, and it is improving, so this could be a decent time from Bobby Thompson. Moves up into 9th position, deposes Max Coates out of the top 10. It's a pretty nice time. We've got some decent sectors coming in from Dave Marshall, second position at the moment. It's been a personal best in sector 1. Oh, big lap time coming in from Chris Butcher. Big old lap time coming in from Chris Butcher. We're watching Dan Cow, our highest qualifier, into this. Dave Marshall crosses the line, doesn't improve. Chris Butcher coming up to the line. It's been a big second sector and moves up to the pole by 3 thousandths of a second. 47.158. I said that time was going to take some beating. Chris Butcher absolutely did it.
Yeah, but he went slow in the first sector, so there's still more time in that. It's just whether he can get all the sectors linked up and can actually get it done on paper.
Yeah, Max Tad also moved up into third position, going to get out there 7 and see over half the session left, so you know it's still plenty of time. Tregurtha currently on screen, runner-up in class in the 2019 Nordschleife 24 VLN series, whatever it's called. There's a lot of names to that thing. I can't remember what it's called. I was there a couple of years ago. Nice event, pretty big, maybe. Obviously finished second in class there. Has done racing all over the place. Busy man. Just a bit of stewarding as far as I was aware at one point not too long ago. I can't remember what in though. Needless to say, he's currently down in 14th position. Needs a bit of improving. Just did a lap time which was a few tenths slower than his current best. And there is my man, Colin Turkington, about to start a lap. Let's watch him as he goes round. Of course, custom livery on his. Naturally, of course, he's in a BMW. It is the 1 Series, not the brand new car. Slides his way through Paddock Hill. One thing you'll notice as well, every car will be on the yellow wall tyres. That's not just in qualifying, that'll be across all 3 races. We're not doing the tyre rule that's so interesting in BTCC, because let's be honest, it would be carnage and it's hard to keep track of. Colin Turkington then. Ooh, bit wide though at Graham Hill. And going to fling it up through the final corner into clearways and maybe tick off a lap again. The times are not so great. I'm not going to beat around the bush there. Second sector, not brilliant. Going to come up across the line. Of course, the rear-wheel drive. He's the only rear-wheel drive up in the top 10, as far as I can see. Crosses the line, doesn't improve.
And that front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, something is to factor in when we get towards the race as well, with how the tyres wear and how the cars act towards the end of the race as well. Because obviously all the drivers had a choice on what they could choose. Turkington keeping with his brand of BMW. Always good to see that 1 Series come out as well, because it is obviously now not used by him in the real world, because they now have the 330i.
Yeah, indeed. He is the highest. Scott Sovik's left the session. He'll rejoin, don't worry. Pretty quick driver, Scott Sovik. I'm sure he'll rejoin and bang in a quick lap time. ONeil on the screen at the moment. Apparently was firing shots at all the drivers in, because everyone's on Discord having a chat. Apparently was firing shots at all the other drivers in a fun way. Of course, does commentary now for ITV for the Real British Touring Car Championship, more as the Ted Kravitz of the group, and does a very good job, very enjoyable for him. Flings it through very sideways. Currently 1.3 seconds off of the pole time. What I was going to say though is Colin Turkington, who's currently in 7th position, highest rear-wheel drive driver. The second highest rear-wheel drive driver is Cam Brewster, who has got a bit of experience. He's in the Scooby, the Subaru. Of course he is, because it's like he's a big Subaru fan. In a custom livery, the TSA one, down in 17th position. When Scott Sovik rejoins, it'll be 18th. So Colin Turkington is the only one in the top, realistically the top 17, the only rear-wheel drive.
And as you said earlier, the Astra was very popular. So there's obviously quite a lot of love for the front-wheel drives, which is quite good because they are very unique to drive. And pretty much all of the top drivers are in Astras as well, so that just shows you that it's obviously quite a quick car as well.
Unique. I like it. So they're very unique to drive. Christian Kelly moves up into 11th position. Good lap time, 47.517. Very healthy time to stick on the board. I'm just going to look at... no, never mind. He's escaped a bit late. I was going to say Daniel Hurlock was going quick. Hurlock's one that could definitely challenge for pole position here. A very, very fast driver. There's Daniel Rowbottom up to the line. Doesn't improve. Who's sat on his rear? Absolutely.
Luke Bennett.
Luke Bennett.
Because, he was improving, but didn't actually improve his lap time in the end. Couldn't quite get the sectors together, but he did get that slipstream to the line. As you're talking about, it can be quite helpful, but obviously on this occasion didn't quite work out.
Yeah, so Bobby T moved up into 12th position as well, so he's the latest one to improve. At this point in the session, with 3 minutes to go, normally on a track you'd be like, right, now's the time to really hammer in the good lap time. Around here though, it's really hard because you've done so many laps. But like Chris Butcher has done, he's done 4 time laps, not really that many. Ryan Elliott's done 1. He's only done 1 time lap. He's failed on all other attempts. I guess when you're going for lap time, it's going to be close. You might as well just escape and get another lap in. So it makes no sense for him to try and keep rotating around. Chris Butcher, personal best in the first sector, and Ryan Elliott's just started another lap. But where you've done so many laps around here, it's kind of hard to actually find the improvement because there's only 4 corners. Like, where are you going to find the improvement? Where are you going to get that better lap time from?
And especially when you're on the limit, you then come into the factor of you make mistakes. And I tell you what, a lot of people are making mistakes because there aren't quite as many green sectors as there were earlier on. So not many improvements are being made across the board.
Yeah, Josh Malin's just set a decent lap time to move himself into 12th position, setting a decent time on this time, but doesn't improve. Chris Butcher, by the way, despite that personal best first sector, backed out of it, tried to go for another one, got traffic, decided, no, I'm going to escape, going to try and go get some fresh rubber. Curious to see that Daniel Rowbottom, though, was taking it in official format. Whoa! And into the barrier. Nice, good one, clearance. Off he goes. But he came in and did a pit stop to replace the tyres rather than just escaping like everyone else does.
Well, that could be potentially learning the ways that and things you can do, because obviously in real life you have to drive back to the pit lane, whereas in sim racing you have the wonderful option to press escape and jump back to the garage without having to do an in-lap, which is a very thankful feature, especially when you get some of the longer tracks that you can go to.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is with Snetterton, you've got to do a full out lap there. Not a fan of a full out lap. It's Snetterton, it takes 2 and a bit minutes. Means in qualifying session it really matters. Currently looking at Jack Oliphant, who is a Ginetta GT4 driver. I think it was last year that it was his debut year in that category. Is he related to Tom Oliphant? I couldn't find any information. It's an odd second name. Might be. You never know. I'm sure brother. Thank you. It is his brother. Good.
It's certainly a unique name.
Yeah, it's obviously his brother races in British touring cars. That's done for a little while. Now he jumps over in a BMW as well. Currently down in 30th position, so second last. Who was that who just moved up? Or was it Scott Sovik rejoining? No, well, someone moved up.
So P18, Chaz Draycott set a purple last sector, but went slower in the first and second sector, so he didn't actually get up the board. But there's still time out there. Yeah, there's still time out there on the table for these drivers, as we only have the last couple of seconds, so they need to start their lap, because you cannot start a lap once that time hits 0.
There's James Gornall, or Jiggy, as he is in game. Obviously taking part in the British touring cars this year, whenever it begins. But until then, yeah, we've got this to do. John Munro, by the way, moved up into 8th position on his previous lap. Christian Kelly, I think, moved up into 12th position. That 12th position has probably been the most changed. Every time, someone's improved to 12th. Of course they have. The session, by the way, is over. Chris Butcher is provisionally on that pole position. He's the only one out on circuit in the top 10. No one else is out, and he's coming into pit lane. I'm assuming that's going to be his pole done, unless Bobby Thompson can throw together a healthy lap time. I think he might have just finished his session. Scott Servik's going to come towards the line, as is James Gornall, crosses the line. 17th, fair enough. 15th, Scott Servik, no improvement. So Chris Butcher is on your pole.
Yeah, it is still a pretty close session, has to be said. 3/10 covers the top 10 drivers. So we're expecting a very good 3 races coming up.
Indeed. It was pretty mad. I said that lap time was going to take some beating, and it certainly did. And Chris Butcher definitely did that. By 0.003 of a second, takes pole position here. There are your current qualification standings. You can just double check there, of course, if you want to access this yourself. The race view link. I mean, I would read it out, but it's a bit of a long-winded one. Raceview.nl/server ? Yeah, I'm not going through it. Open up raceview.nl. It will be on there. You can just search for it. Of course, on there it is VMO SRTCUK. And whilst we're here, of course, reminding us what we're here for, the Trussell Trust. As you can see in the bottom left, remember that link will pop up every now and then. It is in the description of the YouTube stream. If you can drop anything towards them, we would be greatly appreciative, of course. All here to support all through these desperate times. There you can see at the bottom. It's been a crazy little while here, Cam. But of course, whilst all motorsport's not really going on, we can at least put on a good show and hopefully bring us 3 good races.
Yeah, it's really good that sim racing has the ability and the outlet to be able to do this. So thank you very much for coming and joining us, and do donate anything you can to support a very, very good cause indeed. And it's, as I said, it's good that sim racing has now got to a level, because obviously over the years it's sort of slowly grown up. And a few years ago, people saying, "Oh yeah, sim racing is going to get there," but now this is the only sport really that is happening, especially in the world of motorsport. So many virtual races are going on, and it is great, as we said, that we can get so many of these well-known names in, especially in touring cars for this event specifically, that are able to come here and get involved to help out a good cause.
Yeah, of course. We will be heading into race 1 at 2 o'clock. So in 5 minutes, and that's 2 o'clock proper time. Anyone else from across the world? Tough. That's my motto anyway. Everyone getting ready for their practice starts. Now the starts in this car, just as a bit of an FYI to those of you that's a bit of nerdy information, these cars are slightly different than the ones that you would get from the Steam Workshop. Of course, Next Generation mod team have got their own mod. We've got our own physics on this, so things will be slightly different. However, as far as I'm aware, the way you'd start the car, etc., is still going to be pretty much the same. And so here's a bit of information on how you'd start this car, because I think some people might not know, and it is absolutely crucial to start this car right. For me, like I know about 2 or 3 different ways to start this car in almost exactly the same way. The weirdest, the best way of starting the car is actually have your auto clutch on, have your brake on, and then rev it, and then go from that. But you have to time it right, because if you don't time it right, you bog down, and it's very bad. But I've gained a few positions doing that start. If not, you turn the auto clutch off and then guess, which is great fun. Also, make sure not to stall in the pit lane, and then cost yourself 40 points.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that difference is with the front and rear wheel drive. Obviously, most cars here are the front wheel drive, but obviously there's that option that some of the drivers to take the rear wheel drive options of the BMW and the Subaru as well. So that's something to look out for. But as you say, the start, you've got to get it right, because if you get overtaken into turn 1, there's probably going to be about 3 cars overtaking you, because everyone's just going to swamp you left and right, and it's quite wide on the initial entry into Paddock Hill Bend as well. So you don't want to be giving up any places, otherwise you might be ending up in the sand pit if you're unlucky as well.
Absolutely, and I'm expecting there will be chaos at turn 1. So I'm expecting some things. Let's go with that. The thing is, though, is as much as I would take the idea that in real life, of course, those rear-wheel drives get a massively good launch in real life, and obviously run away the distance. They've done things to slow it down. I don't agree with that. But in this, the rear-wheel drives do get better launches as long as you know what you're doing. Not saying that Colin Turkington doesn't know what he's doing, but obviously starting these cars is a little bit different than how you'd start a real-world car. And I kind of think that rear-wheel drive isn't going to be as strong off the start as you'd think. And respectfully, with touring cars, front-wheel drives, the reason why I always take a front-wheel drive in touring cars is because it's a lot harder to be spun. It's a lot easier to keep on the road. It's a bit of a tank. Rear-wheel drives, though, a little bit of a on the rear end, round they go.
And you have to be very careful, as you say, coming out of the corner, because you could be all overexcited, slam on the throttle, and you'll go around. Whereas in a front-wheel drive car, you need to keep planted if the rear starts coming around. So it's a different way of driving, and you'd hope that by now these drivers are pretty used to the car that they are driving.
Indeed. Mike Epps going to say that he's got no force feedback, by the way. Currently, so he's just having a little bit of an issue. He needs to set a reset button, I think. But either way, we'll be getting ready to go racing in 2 minutes' time. That first race, of course, Dose McGlade alongside me, Cameron Roger. It's going to be a good one. Thoughts of a potential race victory? Who's gonna do it?
See, this is difficult because you could look at qualifying and say, "Oh, Chris Butcher, Ryan Elliot," but anything can happen. It's 20-minute races. We all know that touring cars can get a little bit, rubbings racing as well. So anything can happen. So, especially someone could be easily spun out as well with the front-wheel drive cars. If you just clip someone's rear on a front-wheel drive car, it's very easy for them to go around. But I'm going to say Ryan Elliot.
Oh, I am not. Oh, no. Maybe. Probably.
Maybe.
But I'm going to go with a man who's won here twice. It's around the GP loop. He won both races, race 1 and race 2, in the International Touring Cup in GPVWC last year. Chris Butcher, the man who finished second in that championship, winning both those opening races. Of course, on weight, we'll get to the weight in race 2. Everyone has no weight in this. But was victorious in both those opening races. I think he is in a good shout. Of course, he's not in a Honda like he was then, but just as a reference, we do have points in this, and we'll obviously crown a champion and we'll get to the prizes later, don't worry. But those points, same as the British Touring Car points, so 20 for the race victor. The only difference is we don't take bonus points for qualifying on pole, and we don't take bonus points for the fastest lap, because that is far too much maths, and I'm a bit of an idiot. So 2 things that we're not doing is that. But everything else, why not?
And something to mention as well is the finishing result of this is the grid for the second race. So you want to make sure that you do get into a decent position. Otherwise, you'll be losing points in another race as well.
Well, yes. Well, indeed. We have moved over into the correct session. So we are getting ready to go for that first race. And it is definitely time for race 1. Oh, what a time it is to be a sim racer. We are about to go onto a formation lap, a 20-minute race here to open us at Brands Indy. You can see how tight they are on the grid. Chris Butcher has just hit the front row. He is going to be your pole man, from Ryan Elliot, from Max Tad and Daniel Hurlock. It is going to be a great old race. I do hope they're going for a formation lap. No, we're going to be slightly off here. 10 seconds to go. Your pick for the race victory is Ryan Elliot. My one is Chris Butcher, although anyone in that top lot can move their way up. Of course, no one has weight in this at the moment. They're about to get underway for that formation lap, so we can see them run around.
I just love this grid here. I love
mad,
the grid. It just looks like one of those pictures at the first race of the season when they get all the cars out and they do this nice fancy pictures. It looks like one of them with it being all staggered, but that is just the fun of touring cars and being here at Brands Indy.
Yeah, of course. We know that the top lot.
Mike Epps went into the wall on the formation lap.
I know he's been complaining of no force feedback. Currently in 10th position. Was going to be starting from that. Might have some damage from that. Going to slot his way through. Don't know if anyone else was caught up in that.
No, I just had a look. It was just him. I think he was just testing his wheel because it seemed like he was having some technical issues, and he lost the car in turn number 1. But it looks like he's all good. He's slotted back in, and he should be taking the start as normal.
Indeed. Well, hopefully we can get the leaders on screen at the moment, just coming through clear ways for that very first time to get ready for the race. Some people doing different strategies here. Classic touring car thing is basically you go very, very slow on this lap because you don't want to warm the tyres. You really, really don't, because they will overheat over a 20-minute race. Mike Epps says defo no force feedback, so I think he might be sitting by the wayside. I think he might give it a go. I did a race without force feedback and it made me feel sick.
Yeah, especially in the front wheel drives, you really need to feel that force feedback so you know when the front wheels start to spin, because that front wear is an issue for those front wheel drive cars, which most of these cars are, especially at the front. We just have Max Tad in the MG and then Colin Turkington in the he's doing burnouts there in the BMW, but most of the drives at the front are in the Astra as they start to grid up now for race 1.
There might be a little bit of a delay before race 2 because we're going to try and get Mike Epps sorted out. But anyway, we're about ready to go here. Chris Butcher and all that line up. Daniel Hurlock lines up on the outside just behind fellow teammate Ryan Elliot. Of course, there's no real direct teams in this. Fixed setups as well. It is a monstrous grid. Look at this. 2x2 staggered all the way down the grid. It is pretty tight. Chris Butcher's going to be on the pole position. Hopefully we can get a look at him on the start to the race. And he is going to be leading us away. Ryan Elliot directly behind. You've got that in the bottom right hand of the screen. Lights are on and ready to go. Chris Butcher on that pole position on the inside, on the left-hand side as you look at it. He is away and going. Ryan Elliott's got a much better launch. Max Tag got blocked there by Chris Butcher, really just not getting a good launch. Colin Turkington all the way through, up into second position, heading into Paddock Hill for the first time. There's chaos in the background, but Ryan Elliott is leading the way. Your pick for the victory. Max Tag down the inside of Daniel Hurlock at the top end of the field. Chris Butcher hanging on to 5th position. Luke Bennett made a decent bit of progress up into 6th position. Dan Kells moving up into 8th as well. In the background, Dave Marshall in 7th, one just behind him. Daniel Hurlock manages to hang on, get by Max Tad on that start. Colin Turkington, best launch, up into 2nd position. Now Ryan Elliott is going to have to do a lot of work to defend from the 4-time British Touring Car champion. Daniel Hurlock's taken too much speed through Surtees and up into clearways, and he's just overcooked that ever so slightly. There's some contact a little bit in the background as people are trying to work their way up the order. John Munro, I've noticed, has dropped down into 12th position. Dave Marshall, Luke Bennett has jumped start into pit lane. Luke Bennett's taken a drive-through penalty all the way from the start of the race.
Yeah, that's crazy in the background. There's about 10 cars involved in a crash.
Chris Butcher and Max Tad have had contact at turn 1, I think. 4th position.
They're still side by side. They come into Druid. He's got Max Tad on the inside. He's going to be pushing out Chris Butcher, although Chris will now have the inside down into turn number 3, Graham Hill Bend. Can he keep it on the inside? Yes, he can. This is good racing from them. Still side by side. They have been for a couple of corners now. But I see Chris Butcher got out top. And as you see there, the rear just got hit. And if you're not too careful, you can be spun around by that.
Yeah, it is. You've got to be very, very careful. It's one thing. It's that tiny that quarter panel, the rear left, rear right, whatever, doesn't really matter. And the front wheel drives, you can spin it around very, very quickly. Currently, 1 second separates your top 3. Colin Turkington is reclosing back in on Ryan Elliott. His teammate directly behind Daniel Hurlock will be looking to apply some pressure to Colin Turkington. I saw Ryan Elliott going a bit wide as well. Those two, Ryan Elliott and Daniel Hurlock, they can work together. They have done so many times. There's in 7th position, Rob Cross, Dan Kell going sideways up. There's contact between the two. Dan Kell's going to go round. Nice catch, good catch. There's a bit of contact as well as James Gornall got involved.
Josh Malin's gone round on the exit of Graham Hill Bend as well, so he's going to have to filter back in, but there's quite a few cars coming, so he's going to have to wait, and he's going to be dropping all the way down. And just as I mentioned, there's about 3 cars in the pit lane receiving damage, repairs to damage from lap 1.
Abbie Eaton's moved up into 13th position. What? What a drive! Already moving up into 13th. That's good. Didn't qualify so well, but definitely running a lot better in the race. No, Colin Turkington was going very sideways. There's Dan Kell on your screen. A livery he's not raced in a little while, but taken a few victories and a few pole positions in that livery. Just got past there by Rob Cross, moved down into 8th position, then got a bit of sideways action coming through Graham Hill Bend, and just manages to hang on. I think Max Coates and Jonny Wilkinson have just switched positions, by the way, 16th position, outside of the points at present. I think they might switch again. Very close.
The car off in the background there, there's a purple car, Ben Brown just going off at turn 3, so quite a lot of action here.
It says P by his name on the timesheet. I was just like, what? Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, but he's coming under lots of pressure from Hurlock as they come into turn 1 again. So I think Hurlock is definitely looking to get this 2nd position. He's not letting them run away, although the top 3 in general are running away from Chris Butcher, who has got this massive train of cars behind him, including Tad Marshall Cross and Dan Kell just hanging on the back of that as well. Yeah,
there's that battle that we were just chatting about. Jonny Wilkinson just behind Max Coates. Behind this, Will Tregurtha, Calum Wilson, super sub of the day, coming in 19th position. seeing if Jonny Wilkinson can make his way by. MG, nice to see a couple of different manufacturers back here as well. We've got a Mercedes leading an MG, leading a Vauxhall, leading another Merc. Yes, it's nice to see a few different ones other than just constant Vauxhalls. Stop and go penalty has been assigned to James Gornall as well.
Yes, he's coming in now to serve that.
Who's that? Who's stationary? Jack Oliphant was stationary at the final corner at Clearways. Very bizarre. Back up with the race leaders though. Ryan Elliott still leading the way. It's now up to 1 second. 4 minutes down in this first race. Of course, no one on weight at the moment, and by my mind, I think that BMW might take its weight a little bit better than the other two. So if he finishes in second position, he can still work his way up and maybe earn himself the top prize of getting a signed photograph from Colin Turkington.
Winning his own prize.
Winning his own prize.
Yeah, one would assume that he's possibly got a couple of them already in the house, who knows. So maybe we'll have to see if someone else will get that prize if he does win. But it does look like he's actually going out to win this event. Although Ryan Elliott is now starting to get just a few car lengths ahead. So there might be a potential for Ryan Elliott to get a bit of a lead here.
Indeed. He's definitely trying. We're currently looking a bit down the order. Jiggy Gornall. Should I call him Jiggy or James? I mean, I guess Jiggy is fine. We'll just call him Jiggy in general. Myles Dixon, though, trying to apply pressure. A driver who's maybe not the quickest in these cars, but he can put on some pretty decent effort. Has some decent races in these cars. Has been a part of this for a while. I see as well, Dan Cowell's got back past Rob Cross as well, 7th position, and their battle continues on the start-finish straight. 7th place going to be under attack as we head into Paddock Hill. I think Rob Cross might be looking, but the way you do it around here is you don't really normally make a move at T1. You line it up to try and get it down at Druids, but it's quite hard to do. Everyone covers it off very quickly. It's very frustrating.
Yeah,
Mike Epps with no force feedback in 24th as well. Good lad.
Well, he's still going. Was to get a good result if possible. But something that you mentioned earlier is the track cuts, and there are a few drivers who have got cuts, including Ryan Elliott, Chris Butcher, and I think it was Dan Kell as well. I saw has already got 3 of them, I believe. So they need to be careful because they will start to get penalties if they do too many.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be careful. No one in that top lot have penalties thus far. So that's good, but the track cuts are on, so you've got to be careful, or just it's survival, isn't it?
Well, in many respects, it is, because you need to get to the end of the race, otherwise you do not get the points and you do not get that starting position for the next race. And the winners of the prizes are going to be done from the overall. It's basically a little championship of the 3 races, so the overall points of the 3 races. And now we've got Ben Brown coming side by side around the outside of Kostas Avram, who was the wildcard entry. And although Ben's gone off again, there's a couple of times he's gone off, maybe struggling with the brakes a little bit there, but down in 22nd place.
I don't know if they took together his Jack Oliphant off the road again, doing the same kind of thing. Just get that's a bit of damage on the front end. So much damage, it looked like there was no engine in there, but I think Jack Oliphant will come down into the pit lane and get that repaired and hop back out there. Will Tregurtha there. That is Calum Wilson on the back of him. Like you said, Kostas Avram was the wildcard, so there was 2 wildcard entries, of course. This one, though, being a random draw, and then Daniel Hyde obviously winning the bid. So it's nice to see the support. Again, I will keep saying it. The link is in the description to support. We've made a lot of money for charity so far. It has been a fantastic effort. The goal is £1,000. It's currently 800 odd. I think it was 80% the last time I looked. And so huge thanks to all the support. Of course, that coming in from the qualifier as well. So massive thanks to everyone supporting Myles Dixon, by the way, into the pit lane. A couple of other cuts coming the way of Jonny Wilkinson, Paul ONeil as well. Currently looking at Dave Marshall, trying to hound the back of Max Tad. An MG up in the top lot, coming through Druids. I like the green on that car as well. Everyone's been assigned a car, by the way, so they've not been able to pick the livery. They've just been given, you're in this one, which I like. Otherwise, we get very confused.
And we now got, although actually I think this is a lap car with Rob Cross. I thought it was Munro getting on the back of him, but I think there's a lapped car who's challenging Rob. So he's got to defend from someone who's not quite for position.
Malin, yeah.
But obviously Malin wants to get as good a result as he can as well. And as long as he doesn't cause any issues, it should be fine for him to come and unlap himself.
You can see Colin Turkington's dropped off the back of Ryan Elliott, putting in some decent laps at the top of the field. Currently a second off your race leader, maybe struggling a little bit on those tyres. How bad was that start though from Chris Butcher dropping back? There is Rob Cross, slipping and sliding. That is John Munro now behind in the MG. Of course, it's yellow as well. As a THR colour. Of course, it's yellow. I'm sure Rob Biesemiller will be ex-team boss question mark of THR. Will be sat watching, thinking, "Wow, John's not bad yet."
Turkington's actually caught up to Elliot a little bit on the previous lap, so he is closing back in. We're now coming up to half race distances. Colin gets really sideways in turn number 1. It's always nice sliding down the hill there. This race is not over for the lead. It goes a bit wide there.
Oh, he's closing in a lot, is Colin Turkington. That's, by my money, like 3 or 4 tenths. There is nothing between the two of them, riding on board with your 4-time BTCC champion sitting on the back of Ryan Elliott. Very, very quick driver is Ryan Elliott. Takes part in various karting things and whatnot. He's a northerner though, so we're obviously very much against him being 2000s, right? Colin Turkington though, trying to find a way through. He's going to struggle to get by.
Traffic as well. Traffic is coming into play.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, there is quite a few bits of traffic. Hopefully they all get out of the way, but if not, I might spice up this battle.
Oh yeah, Ryan having a bit of a slide there through turn number 1 again. Turkington is just closing up. He needs to be smart where he goes for the move, because it is very tight on this track. When you get a gap, you do have to just basically go for it and commit. Although they're basically touching each other now, coming through Graham Hill Bend onto the back straight, but not quite close enough just yet.
Yeah, unfortunately for those proper Brands Hatch fans, everything here has a name. The Brabham Straight, the this, that, the Paddock Hill. I cannot remember all of these names. It's a lot to remember. And I don't have 18 different screens, unfortunately. I'm not our broadcast director who can pull up everything with Mike now doing everything for us behind the scenes, trying to help us out and bring you the pictures. Looking backwards from Ryan Elliott. Daniel Hurlock's not been able to go with him. I wonder if this is a tyres thing.
It very much could be. As we mentioned, the front wheel drives especially, that front wear on those cars can get pretty bad if you're just wheel spinning coming out of the corners, because your front wheels are having to accelerate and turn, so they're having to do two jobs. That's something that you do have to balance, whereas Colin can be a bit more patient with his right foot and with how he accelerates coming out of the corners.
Battle for third is also closing up. It's just in the background, of course, you've got a Wilkinson who they just lapped in that MG, but there's a couple of Vauxhalls closing up. I don't think he's going to be able to make a move here as Colin Turkington, nowhere near close enough, but Daniel Hurlock is coming under increasing pressure from Chris Butcher.
Turkington goes really wide.
Big old lock-up.
He's certainly pushing to keep up with Ryan Elliott. Got a car off in the background. I think there was a lap down there, unfortunately, or at least a car further back. But Turkington, got a bit close there. But he's just dropped off a little bit now. Butcher with another cut on this lap. Got to be careful. He's had a couple of them. Butcher's now got. Actually, no. This is lap car again, isn't it? Coming all down the back.
That is Hurlock. Oh, look how close Turkington is. Oh, there's a little bit of a bump there. He is very close. Colin Turkington looking to take a first race victory here in the Simply Race VMO British Touring Car Championship charity event. And your 4-time champion, your defending champion, that's why he's got the number 1 on the car. Whoa, it was a good paddock hill from him. He's going to cover off the inside as Ryan Elliott is going to have to go back to the outside. Sideways, heavy on the brakes, a bit of a lock-up on the front right. Maybe going to try and cut back and pick a direction at Graham Hill. Just not good enough. Nice defensive driving from Ryan Elliott there. And there's only 6 and a bit minutes left of this race. Ryan Elliott, I feel for his tyres right now.
Yeah, he's pushing so hard to try and keep this lead, but he's making a couple of mistakes. And those mistakes is where Colin Turkington can get involved. And just behind them, they've got Hurlock and Butcher having a really nice battle as well. So the battle for the lead and for the podium still raging on here into the closing stages of this race.
I think
Looks
Chris Butcher's going to be very close for a move here. Third position just behind this. Chris Butcher's going to the outside of Paddock Hill, going around the outside of Daniel Hurlock. He's going to have to go for a cut back down the inside, maybe pick a corner. Druids, there's going to be a bit of contact between the two, and that's all of his momentum absolutely done. So for third position, that battle is going to stay the way of Daniel Hurlock, holding station, but he's going to go back down the inside. There's near contact between the two. Chris Butcher trying to find any way through. Is it going to be a dive? Is it going to be a late lunge? Or is he going to have to muscle his way through? What is going to happen here for Chris Butcher to get himself onto the podium?
He's going to have to probably sort out that turn one just a little bit better so he can get down the inside into Druids. Although he's thinking about to hit into clearaways, but you see he's going a little bit wider to try and get a slightly better exit and get the momentum as they come down the start-finish straight. But he's not going to have the inside. Hurlock's not going to let him do that, so he's going to have to go around the outside again. Although, is he going to think about switch back? No, he's going to go to the outside.
Whoa, there was a car on the road on Paddock Hill. I think that might have distracted Colin Turkington there. Not sure who that was. One of the pink cars.
Ben Brown, suspension damage has DNF'd from this race. And Butcher just went ahead slightly on the timings as he must have outbroken Hurlock, but Hurlock has still got this position at least for now.
Yeah, you've also got another battle between two drivers a little bit further back from this. Max Tad, Dave Marshall, battling just behind. Josh Malin's caught up to those. And will try and get his way through, but unfortunately whilst these battles are going on, we've just got battles all over the place. It's Battle City here at Brands Hatch in the opening race. Only 4 and a bit minutes to go. Ryan Elliot is still leading. He's led every lap. He's qualified in second position. Colin Turkington made an excellent launch, got up into second on the start from about 6th or 7th. Great start from him. Naturally, you'd expect from a rear-wheel drive. A little bit better than even I expected, as we spoke about.
He's making Ryan Elliott defend here. Ryan Elliott's got a little bit wide. So Turkington's got his nose down the inside, but couldn't quite keep it there. Unfortunately.
Back down the inside, Daniel Hurlock's just made a bit of contact with Chris Butcher. That was in the bottom right of your screen. That's that battle between Chris Butcher and Hurlock. It's very close, isn't it? It's madness, this is.
Yeah, Butcher's trying all sorts of lines to try and get an advantage as they come towards the last couple of laps of this race, but once again he's going to go a tiny bit wider, try and get the exit which he's had on the last couple of laps, but he hasn't been able to get down the inside into turn one, so he's going to have to go probably around the outside again as Hurlock's defending the inside, so Butcher's going to have to try and do some sort of switchback or completely send around the outside. So he's setting himself up here. Can he get the exit to get across down the inside into turn two? Yes, he has, but Hurlock's going to defend it. It's going to be all on the grass as they go into the brakes into turn number 2, and Butcher's now going to go up the inside turn 2. But can Hurlock hold it on the outside? It's going to be very close now. He's on the curb, so I think Butcher's going to be able to hold this if he can get good on the brakes, which he has. So that's a really good move. And did the switchback a couple of times there, and has now got himself up onto the podium.
Oh, top low. Colin Turkington trying to get down the inside, sideways all over the place. Now he has got down the inside of Ryan Elliot. Oh, I think this is going to be Colin Turkington up into the race lead from Ryan Elliot. Maybe just a little bit wide. Both Hurlock and Elliot running wide at corners, allowing someone through. Colin Turkington's going to be good on the brake. I think Ryan Elliott's going to try and maybe go back down the inside here. Oh, very close to contact between the two of them at Paddock Hill. But Colin Turkington, your 4-time champion, takes the lead in the opening race. Ryan Elliott's going to dive back down the inside. Colin Turkington didn't cover it off. There's going to be contact between the two. Ryan Elliott retakes the lead.
Yeah, we did say that Rubbin is racing in touring cars and slightly a bit of contact there, but nothing too bad. And Turkington's going to have to do that all again, as he's only got a couple of more chances to make this work. But it seems like that was probably his best opportunity, but he couldn't make it work as they come around clearways again for another run. But he hasn't quite got down the inside, so he's going to have to work his car into a position again to try and make this work.
Indeed, that was a pretty bold move. I think he's going to have another couple of attempts maybe, but maybe Ryan Elliott a bit too aggressive. But Colin Turkington didn't cover off the corner at all. Curious to that, but 1/10 between the two of them. Now that Chris Butcher's got by Daniel Hurlock, he's going to start pulling away. Your top 5 at the moment as Ryan Elliott's defending down the inside of Colin Turkington, who's going to try and pull for a decent cut back. He's got a good drive. He might have a look down the inside of Graham Hill, but not really close enough. And Ryan Elliott, though, still leading the way from Colin Turkington. Absolutely nothing separating them. Chris Butcher, Daniel Hurlock and Max Tad running out the top 5. They're very, very close. Or Colin Turkington trying to find any way through. 1 minute 30 seconds. There's going to be 2 more laps after this one. Who's going to come out on top?
God, Ryan Elliott is defending very well. Colin can't quite get his nose up the inside, but there's certainly opportunities here for him to try and make something work. But he needs to nail this turn one so he can get down the inside for Druids. But can he make it work? I have to see. He's been sliding quite a lot. That time isn't so bad, but Elliott didn't actually make a mistake on this. So he's going to get that nice inside line. Always good to defend into Druids. So Colin's he's sliding on the rear, so he's really pushing the accelerator, trying to get some sort of advantage, get his nose up the inside.
Hurlock's got back through on Butcher as well.
God, yeah, fights all over the shop as well. As I think it's Max Tad getting involved.
Dan Cowell's got on the back of Dave Marshall. He's definitely one who's very akin to saving his tyres. He's going to move up the inside of Surtees on Dave Marshall. They're going to be side by side at this is for P6. Between the two of them, there's further contact as Dan Cowell's just trying to get by Dave Marshall. Race lead though, Colin Turkington, final lap of the race, picks the outside of Paddock Hill. Oh, he's locked up, slightly too wide, got to keep off that green stuff, and I think he may well have just done so. Picks up a decent drive of the corner, but I think maybe he's a little bit too far back in the background, though. You've got Chris Butcher and Daniel Hurlock, who are both very much side by side. The race lead, no change there. Daniel Hurlock, is he going to hang on to third position? Chris Butcher trying to go the over-under, doesn't work. Keeping an eye on Ryan Elliott as the timer is about to tick down to 0. Only a few corners to go, a few more attempts for Ryan Elliott to be passed by Colin Turkington. Of course, this will be the race start for race 2. This will be the order that they will start in. Ryan Elliott's going to try and hang it around and just keep on to lead. Contact between the two. Colin Turkington, he's back down the inside. We're going to be side by side up towards the line, but I think Ryan Elliott is just going to hang on, and Colin Turkington's going to have to settle for second position and 17 points. There's Dan Kell. Ryan Elliott towards the line, and he is going to be your race victor in the first race here at the Simply Race VMO British Touring Car Championship charity event. Colin Turkington, solid effort to P2. Daniel Hurlock to P3. Chris Butcher takes P4. Max Tad 5th. Dan Kell did get Dave Marshall for 6th and 7th for him. Christian Kelly 8th. Rob Cross 9th. John Munro in 10th. Then rounding 8 points, Rowbottom did a great effort. It's shown some good pace here. Abbie Eaton 12th place. Nice work. Max Coates, Scott Sovik and Luke Bennett rounding out those points scoring position. That was mad.
That was a classic touring car race. Colin Turkington almost got it there at the end, but his race was really made by that start. He just went straight down the middle of everyone with a rear-wheel drive start. Really managed to make that work, and then did some aggressive racing to try and get the lead, but couldn't quite make that work in the end. But still, my man Ryan Elliott got that W in the first race of this series. And as you say, that's going to be the starting grid. But also, we will have the weight penalties to think about, which could mix up the order slightly and changes potentially people's tyre wear as well.
Yeah, indeed. Who's your driver of the race?
It's difficult. I'd probably say Colin Turkington, considering the start of that, but then he couldn't quite make it work. So yeah, but I'd probably say Colin Turkington out of all of that, considering how far he managed to work his way up the order there.
Indeed. There's your race finishes. We're just going to try and update the points and get them to you. But for race 2, those will be your starting grid. Of course, they will have weight. I don't know if you've got the weight on screen at the moment. If you can talk us through it.
Yeah, so the weight, only the top 10, so top 15 get points, but only the top 10 gets the weight, which starts at 60 kilograms for the leader, and then goes down basically 6 kilos each. So then 54, 48, 42, blah, 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 all the way down to 6 kilos for 10th position. 60 kilos is actually quite a decent amount of weight. So that is a significant number. So that will be quite interesting to see. Can Ryan Elliott, he will be starting from pole position, but can he keep that pace going? And the good thing for Turkington is the only difference between him and Elliott is 6 kilos. So they're basically going to be on a fair playing field. But someone a bit further down, you might want to look at maybe Max Tad, 5th place. He's basically going to have half of the weight penalty. So that will be something to consider for the second race. But you can certainly see who the more experienced drivers in touring cars are, who are up the front. And I'm sure they've had plenty of experience with weight penalty and will know how to drive around it.
Indeed. It's It's going to be interesting because obviously, like the weight working into this, it's going to increase your tyre wear. It's going to increase everything like that. The racing's going to be pretty different this time. Whether we're going to get a runaway winner in this, I don't think so. I think we're in for another second race to follow on what we saw in the first.
Oh yeah, it's going to be absolutely mad again. Going to be very close, and the result of this next race, will then be reversed for race 3. But you still want to get the points in the championship. So there's that sort of balance of you want to finish high to get points, but then obviously then you'll start a bit lower down.
Right. Well, I think we could bring you the points. Hopefully, we'll see. But after that race victory from Ryan Elliot, there we go. Oh, we do. Ryan Elliot then. I think it's with 2 Ts. It is with 2 Ts. Never mind. We'll sort that in a second. 20 points for that race victory. Colin Turkington, 17. 15 for Daniel Hurlock, and then Chris Butcher, etc. It's the bog standard BTCC. Oh yeah, there is a B missing on Rowbottom as well. Either way, it's a solid race there for Ryan. I'm sure he'll be proud of that. Not too many times though. I'm going to fire a shot his way. It's fine. Not too many times in his sim racing career though. He's been on max weight for a second race, so should be interesting for him. Pretty aggressive driver. I'm sure he's going to have an interesting time. Yeah. Well, get that second race underway. By the way, it starts at 2:30, so pretty much spot on now. I don't know if they're going to delay that a bit. Minimum of 5-minute hold.
Yeah, who is it that was having issues? It was Mike Epps, wasn't it? He's he's in the session, so if he has had to reconfigure anything, looks like he is still here, and still having to race. Hopefully, he doesn't crash again on the formation lap, because that is always an interesting thing to see when you click on a driver and they are facing in the wall. When most people do the formation lap pretty much at the pace of the pit limiter, trying to keep those tyres nice and cool.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Like, it's one thing that I get really picky with, because when I do a formation lap, because I know in like touring cars, not an egotistical thing here, by the way, so don't panic. But I'm normally like quite decent on my tyres. I've done a lot of experience with Dan Cowell and Nick Dealey, of course those two over at Zancho now. But when we were at Calamity, racing for a tyre, we put a lot of time into understanding the tyres, right? And there were a lot of drivers, the likes of Ryan Elliott and the likes of Daniel Hurlock, who maybe not so much on the understanding of the tyre. They were very, very tyre heavy. But from that, on the formation lap, I would just be like, well, I know that I'm probably better on tyres than this lot, so I'm going to make a formation lap pretty quick if I'm ever starting from pole or after a race win. I would always be like, we're going for this. And in my mind, the person in second position, it's their job, it's their part. You know, in the rules, you've got to keep a certain distance. We don't actually have that rule here, I don't think. But it's their job to keep within that certain distance of the race leader, of whoever's been on pole, because it's whoever's on pole. It's their formation lap. They go at the speed that they want to go at. But that never happens in sim racing. Everyone's just like, no, I'm going to do it at my speed, and I'm like, no, you're doing it at my speed. It's very, very argumentative, and I get very salty. Apparently,
yes, especially.
So I'm told.
There's some series in sim races as well where you have a set fuel tank for the race, so you want to save as much fuel on the formation lap. Fortunately, we don't have that here, but that's always something to look out for as well. But in these cars, as you say, it's really about those tyres. You don't want to make them any worse than they need to be. Although all drivers, as you previously said, are on the exact same compound, so it is all about the difference of the driver and how they wear their tyres or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, remember why we are racing here. We're racing for the Trussell Trust, supporting plenty of things in the UK when it comes to the food banks, the National Food Bank, and making sure that some people that can't get food at this point will still get fed, which is very, very important. Of course, any donations to that effect will be greatly appreciated. You can do so in the description. You can see the thing that's on screen at the moment. tiny.cc/SRTCUK. We've already got some donations through the race so far. We're up to 84%, so we're so very, very close to reaching our target. Either way, great support from everyone in the sim racing community. Trussell Trust was also the main thing in one of Jimmy Broadbent's events a little while ago. They made an awful lot of money showing how caring and the sim racing community actually is. Where we can be an annoying bunch, can't we, Cam? The sim racing community, but we do care. We have feelings. It's good.
Yes, the one thing about the sim racing as well is so many people take it so competitively. There we go, and rightly enough, because some of the racing that we get is just unbelievably close, and people are just pushing to the absolute limits. So yeah, some people can be, a little bit difficult sometimes. So when it comes to an event like this, obviously everyone's here to have a good time, but they're still using their competitive edge to try and get as many points as they can.
It's one thing that I've noted is that you've got to, when it comes to an event like this, you've got to almost switch off the super competitive side where you get angry about everything. That's what I've got. It's a terrible affliction. You need to kind of switch that off and just sort of enjoy the event as a driver and go out there and put on a good show without making it a big old calamitous affair. That race one, the start was a little bit interesting, I'll say that. But the battling, dead good. Dead impressed. Very, very nice. Very enjoyable. Currently in the warm-up session, we're about to move over. We're going to be a little bit late as we're trying to sort out Mike Epps, who apparently has it all set. And we'll move over and get ready for the second race. Of course, weight being a key factor in this one. As you said earlier, for those of you who maybe ran off to the toilet or whatever, I'll just read you out the weights. Ryan Elliot, he will receive 60 kilos of weight, and then it goes down, same as it is in British Touring Cars. So it's 54, 48, 42, 36, 30, 24, 18, 12, and 6 kilos down through the top 10. But it is now most certainly time for race 2. Right, we're back then for race 2. Ryan Elliott's going to be on at that pole position. He started well from second on the grid, but this time he's got to go up against Colin Turkington, and there is weight on these cars. Like we said, 60 kilos for Ryan Elliott, 54 for Colin Turkington. Daniel Hurlock did a good job to get onto the podium. A long race battle with Chris Butcher, who, FYI, in that race had an absolutely awful launch. So hopefully he'll sort that out. My money for a good result in this actually comes from P6, Mr. Dan Kell. He is very, very good on some weight, so maybe expect him to move up the order. Played it a little bit slow at the start of the race, moved up from 9th place to 6th, but did a lot of that action towards the end of the race. And Ryan Elliott, who's leading us through very slowly, as I said, at an absolute snail's pace at the moment, just trying to keep those tyres very much in check. A few drivers down the order. I thought there was some from pit lane. Mike Epps, by the way, should have his wheel sorted, and so hopefully we'll be good to go.
And we need to watch Colin Turkington here. He went from 7th to, I think it was 3rd into turn number 1. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's leading down into turn 1, getting that launch jump ahead of Ryan Elliott. With that, obviously, rear-wheel drive. And maybe he just absolutely nailed it as well, as he does the last couple of burnouts to come to the line. And we have Bobby Thompson and Jack Oliphant on the last row of the grid as they just come around clearways to line up on the grid. And what a grid it is, as we mentioned in turn 1. It just looks so menacing when you see all these cars with the staggered grid. And hopefully we don't have as many incidents into turn 1 as we did in race number 1.
Yeah, we're also waiting for Jonny Wilkinson, who's just coming round now to join the back of the grid. So as much as everyone else is in position, he is not. And here he comes, just slotting his way through, and that's very close. And he will pick up his position a little bit further down the grid, 21st for him. But on that pole position then, Colin Turkington, who's on the right-hand side of your screen in the BMW. Alongside him, Ryan Elliot, who's not really taken up too much of an advantage in that box. We're about ready to go racing then for the second race in the VMO SR Simply Race British Touring Car Championship charity event. I think, Colin Turkington, you may well get a good launch. It's the initial launch not so good, but that second one all away and clear for Colin Turkington. Ryan Elliot in second position. Daniel Hurlock getting attacked by Chris Butcher, who's trying to go around the outside of both, and there's near contact between the two. Or Ryan Elliott's trying to push Chris Butcher off the road. Those two have raced together a little bit in GPWC's International Touring Cup. And they goes back down the inside as Daniel Hurlock, further contact between the two, now trying to get back down the inside of Ryan Elliott, as Daniel Hurlock is now getting repassed by Chris Butcher into Graham Hill Bend. Backs out of that one. Dan Kell lost a little bit of a position to Rob Cross, who he battled with all over the previous race, in 6th position. I think he may just be able to hang on, but he's got to be very committed around the outside. Abbie Eaton up into 7th position, who's just muscled her way through on Rob Cross. What a start it's been from Abbie Eaton. Up to 7th position. Daniel Rowbottom up into 8th. Madness from some of these boys. The top end of the field, though, it is still going to be Ryan Elliott, who retook the lead from Colin Turkington. Sorry, I didn't see where that happened. But Ryan Elliott's retaking the lead.
Yeah, Ryan Elliott, Colin Turkington, they are just doing exactly what they did in race number 1 as well. And then also just behind them, Butcher and Hurlock as well, side by side into turn number 2, Druids. And is that Hurlock getting just pushed out a little bit? That might open him up to Max Tad and Dan Kell, who are getting involved behind as well. Obviously, these drivers with less weight, the further back they go, to some of them who even have no weight involved as well. So that's going to help them a little bit with their pace and tyre wear as we get further down into this race.
Oh, Abbie Eaton just makes a bit of contact with Dan Kell on the back end there in P6, P7. But Ryan Elliott did retake that lead. Colin Turkington, Chris Butcher has got by Daniel Hurlock. Max Tad under massive pressure from Dan Kell, who's going to have to pick the inside-outside. Is Abbie Eaton going to try and find her way through? She's been pretty aggressive on the start, moving up the order very quickly. Daniel Hurlock's been off the road at Paddock Hill. Daniel Hurlock is gone. In P6 now he goes. Will Tregurtha has been assigned a drive-through penalty from the live race stewards. And now Daniel Hurlock's dropped a position. He's going to drop another one to Abbie Eaton. And down into 6th position. 7th position rather, he is going to go. Looking down the inside of Graham Hill, sideways around the outside, Abbie Eaton. Fantastic work. 6th position from Abbie Eaton. Dan Kell up to 5th. That was a bit of a bold move.
Yeah, I think Tregurtha got that drive-through from an instant in the first lap. And we have Oliphant as well with no front bumper again. 2 races in a row, he's unfortunately had no front bumper. So not the best opening up from them. Well, now have Colin Turkington all the way up against Ryan Elliott again, but can he get past this time? He does have a slight weight advantage in this race, but does he have enough to get past Ryan Elliott, who defended really well in race number 1?
Yeah, it wasn't just Ryan Elliott's defence that was good, it was how, as soon as he was passed, he did the Valentino Rossi thing of like, I'm going to repass you almost immediately. Mike Epps up to 9th position from 21st on the grid, showing his pace. Did win a race in the Zanshow test race thing, where it wasn't in this car, it was slightly different, but beating out Arne Sconevliet, who is a very talented driver on our factory.
Oh, Hurlock has just hit the back of Abbie Eaton as into the final corner clearways.
Oh, sorry, race lead, side by side, sorry. P1, Colin Turkington is going for it on the inside now for Paddock Hill. Looking down the inside, I think he might just be able to make this one stick. Oh, Ryan Elliott's going to try and hang it around the outside, goes all the way over the red and white curbs on the left-hand side as they drive it. Now coming up towards Druids. It's going to be a tough ask for him to go around the outside there. He's going to pick it back down the inside. Nice cutback, very well timed from Ryan Elliott, but it's not going to be enough. But he's going to go back down the inside of Graham Hill. It's so aggressive from Ryan Elliott. Now Chris Butcher's getting involved. Oh, a bit of a slide there from Colin Turkington.
He's got absolutely swamped here. Max Tad has got through as well. So that's 1st to 4th for Colin Turkington in pretty much one corner.
Whoa, Max Tad down the inside. Whoa, that was aggressive. Up into 2nd position. Chris Butcher's gone for a cutback, goes back down the inside. The thing is now, with Ryan Elliott leading, Colin Turkington might have been a bit nicer with him. Chris Butcher will not accept any of that stuff, and he'll use his car not as a weapon or anything like that. He's not an aggressive driver in that sense, but he knows how to race with people that are being aggressive. So Chris Butcher might be good money at the moment. Colin Turkington looking back down the inside of Max Tad. There's contact between the two. Max Tad's getting half spun. Catched it though. Good hands from Max Tad. Dan Kell going to try and go around the outside of the 4-time BTCC champion. Looks down the inside at Graham Hill. Might be able to do it, but no. Colin Turkington's going to hang on around the outside. This quartet battling away. Definitely going to become a quintet. A couple of drivers off the road in the background. Mike Epps was one of them. After some good effort, Graham Hill, he's gone off into the weeds. You can see that in the bottom right.
Oh, wow, how aggressive these drivers are starting to get as they realise basically how close they are to each other and what points they can grab from this. So Butcher up into second place. Turkington down into fourth. Down Kell, as she says, all over the back of him, although just behind them, Hurlock and Abbie are going side by side again. And yeah, just a couple of laps ago now, yeah, Hurlock smashed the back of Eaton into the final corner. He's now going to finally make the move down the inside into Druids as they got all these Astras coming behind them into turn number 2 here.
Yeah, we saw a better 3 wide there. Chaz Draycott, Tom Brooks, I think it was Jiggy. All going 3 wide into Paddock Hill. A guy who came out on top of that, Chaz Draycott. Tom Brooks in 14th position. That's what's in your bottom right of your screen. Colin Turkington, very sideways, good hands. Woo, that was close.
And Dan Kell's getting up the inside here, though, so this could be another position lost for Colin Turkington down into Paddock Hill Bend, and just up ahead, I think Max Tad as well trying to get alongside. So lost of action here, but can Dan Kell make this move stick? He's going to be right tight on the inside, so Turkington will get the comeback down towards Druids. Can he be good on the brakes to make this position work? I think he can if he can keep it down on the apex, which he just about does.
Whoa, Abbie and Bobby Thompson coming side by side, and a bit of contact with Druids. Luke Bennett now gets down the inside. That was a bit of an aggressive lunge from Abbie Eaton. Bobby Thompson drops down into 9th position, still manages to keep ahead of Josh Malin. Currently on your screen though, you've got Colin Turkington, Dan Kell, 4th and 5th position. It's a second between the leader as Max Tad is trying to push the back of Chris Butcher. It's pretty tight. What you've got on screen there, that is Jiggy going around the outside of Scott Sovik, who is struggling a little bit there, and he's going to drop another position now to Ben Brown. That's for the final points paying position, 15th in the bottom right hand side of your screen.
We now got Bobby Thompson coming up the inside of Josh Malin. Big contact!
Big contact!
Massive contact. Someone else is involved there. Then it's Abbie Eaton getting involved with that contact as well. But I think that was a little bit too aggressive. Now someone's
Abbie and Josh Malin P10. Whoa, this is getting pretty dicey.
Yeah, everyone's getting super aggressive this first race. They were just testing the waters in race number 1. Race number 2 is getting really hectic. Eaton now getting overtaken by Wilson for 12th and 13th position at the moment. It's getting a bit crazy.
Goes back down the inside. There's contact now as Abbie Eaton now gets demoted. John Munro's also going to get by. I think Scott Sovik might be having a look down into Paddock Hill. It's been a bit aggressive from some of these drivers. It's been such a good start to the race from Abbie Eaton. I think maybe the over-aggression has worked against her a little bit here. As race towards the top end, Colin Turkington once again defends from Dan Kell. Abbie Eaton's been assigned a drive-through penalty for some of those antics.
Yeah, race steward is getting on with it with these penalties coming thick and fast. There's 3 drivers now, Tregurtha, Brooks and Eaton, with a drive-through penalty in this race.
Yeah. Trying to be as polite as possible about some of it. Oh dear, by the way, it's 0.6 of a second now separating your top 2. I think Chris Butcher, because he looked after his tyres. Jiggy's been off. Oh no, Jiggy's not off. He's just in the middle of a monstrous battle. I thought he was off. He's currently on screen at the moment. Abbie Eaton there comes in, serves that drive-through penalty. John Munro onto the outside. Scott Sovik in the black and blue Ford directly behind. MG Ford.
Battle for the lead. Chris Butcher's trying to come past Ryan Elliot. Ryan Elliot is defending, but Chris Butcher there did get, I think, momentarily into the lead under the brakes, but couldn't quite make it work into Druids. And now Max Tad as well getting all over the back. So this battle for the lead is spicing up as we are coming towards half distance in race number 2. But Chris Butcher couldn't quite make it work on that occasion. But it seems that Ryan Elliot is doing pretty good with this defence. But as you said earlier, Chris Butcher is very aggressive and can definitely make a move work as they come now down towards Paddock Hill Bend. for the 11th time of asking in this race too, but he can't quite get alongside.
Oh, big sideways from Ryan Elliot. He's going to go back down the inside as Chris Butcher, and he's going to take the lead. That's the thing, he just needs to take any advantage of any opportunity, and Chris Butcher should take the lead. There's going to be a little bit of contact. Max Tad fills the gap that Ryan Elliot wants to go back behind, and unfortunately there for Ryan Elliot, drops 2 positions courtesy of that mistake. Now Colin Turkington still keeping Dan Kell behind. Chris Butcher leads, Max Tad second. Great drive from him so far. Ryan Elliot, Colin Turkington, Dan Kell, the rest of the top 10, Hurlock, Thompson, Bennett, Malin and Dixon.
And yeah, we have a new leader of Chris Butcher as well, obviously with a decent amount, a bit less weight than Ryan Elliot, so we need to see if Ryan Elliot can come back or if that weight is going to be a significant factor in this race. But now Max Tad is coming towards Butcher for the lead of this race in race 2.
I think he's going to go backwards. I think Ryan Elliot might start going backwards here. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see now he's looking after his tyres, but I think he might be destined to drop a bit further down the pack. Colin Turkington will have to find a way back through, though, as he did briefly in race 1. But if Colin Turkington gets through and Dan Kell in the same way that Chris Butcher would, that knows how to take advantage of any opportunity. Oh, Max Tad! He had a slowdown. It's an R2 thing. Had a bit of a lag. Now drops behind Ryan Elliot, so a free position for Ryan Elliot. Lucky not to lag backwards into Colin Turkington, who's been off the road. Whoa!
Dan Kell's now going to get up the inside towards Paddock Hill. Benson, can he make this one work? He looks like he's going to have his car all the way ahead as they head towards the braking zone, but we know how Turkington is pretty good at getting the switch back.
Max Tad's wide. Max Tad's very wide, covers off the inside into Druids. Oh, he's going to try and move back over. Now Colin Turkington's going to try and use this opportunity to use Max Tad as a pick and try and get around the outside. I think he may well do so. That could be a great move from Colin Turkington all the way around the outside of Druids. Manages to hang on, grabs 4th position from Dan Kell. Dan Kell slots it back down the inside as we run up towards the final couple of corners, just behind the shot now. Dan Kell. Oh, they're fighting, they're going at it. This must be a pretty good experience for Dan Kell, who not a massive Colin Turkington fan, but definitely likes the driver. Was very happy that Colin Turkington won the championship last year. Especially because he didn't really like Honda, but we won't go into that too much. Now trying to battle with the champ, the big man, going around the outside of Paddock Hill. Maybe going to try and pick it backwards down the inside. Oh, it's good. It is good from Dan Kell. He is there. Whoa. Is Colin Turkington going to be able to hang around the outside? I think he's going to have a bit of a good effort this time, but it might be a little bit tricky. There's no Max Tad to help out, and Dan Kell moves himself up into 4th.
And this is a great opportunity for someone like Dan Kell to race someone that he really looks up to. She said maybe his favourite driver, maybe because of manufacturers as well, but it's still good that opportunity for these drivers to come and race such a name in motorsport. A 4-time champion in any series. You have to respect that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you start Colin Turkington in a Ford, then Dan Kell will be a much bigger fan. He's a bit of a Ford boy, unfortunately.
Well, Chris Butcher now for the lead inside of turn 1. Oh no, sorry.
No.
A car that he was
it's not that.
laughing.
It's not that at all.
I got excited there.
He's got 1.5 seconds on Ryan Elliot for those of you panicking. We're currently looking a bit better down the order. Chaz Draycott on the back of Myles Dixon, who's on. But no, it's not Calum. Oh no, it is Luke Bennett. Yeah, sorry, I'm doing the same thing that you are. Nice. Chaz Draycott though in 11th position. Of course, a bit of a commentator himself. Oh, in the background as well, Jiggy and Scott Sovik going side by side. There's going to be a little bit of contact down towards Graham Hill. And now Max Coates is going to try and stick his way down the inside. It's for 13th position. So Jiggy up another position. Moving up to grabbing a few more points.
There's still points for those guys. So they are still going to be fighting it out. And what you said about Ryan Elliot dropping back, he drops another couple of tenths on that lap as well. Chris Butcher's looking good here in race number 2, but the fight for the podium is still going on. Max Tad hasn't got this one sorted just yet. Dan Kell's getting up the back of him into Druids. Might be actually thinking about a move later on this lap. He's getting very close in that Ford. Or maybe not quite close enough on this occasion. And not quite there just yet, but can he work it out?
Hurlock and Malin on your screen at the moment. Hurlock, he's been off the road. He's going to get it back on. Just went off at Surtees. Now comes back for clearways. Josh Malin gains a position up to 7th chair. Oh, Jiggy's. I think he's gone.
Yeah, big impact into the wall.
Big oof.
Didn't quite see how that started, but he was, well, turning right in a left-hand corner, went straight into the barriers head first, and now Dan Kell is going to be getting side by side with Max Tad for this final podium position.
Oh,
Bit of
contact.
and Turkington's going to get involved here, coming out of Druids down towards Graham Hill Bend. Turkington thinking about switchback, couldn't quite get the BMW down the inside there. Dan Kell flashing the lights there, still say hello, I'm here, I'm not going away just yet. These guys with their Bassing are now 4 seconds off the lead, so it looks like, yeah, this could be podium position at best for these drivers, but still some good points to gain. Now Dan Kell all over the back of him as we come towards Paddock Hill Bend. Can he get down the inside? No. I think he's going to switch back to the outside, try and get a run up towards Druids. It just depends if he can get that inside line, although we know Max Tad likes to defend pretty aggressively, as he does again on this occasion. Turkington now coming around the outside, so that's going to be a bit of contact there actually. So Dan Kell's managed to get himself up the inside after a bit of contact. Turkington on the exit couldn't quite get involved as well, but Tad isn't letting this one up. He's going to get down the inside into Graham Hill Bend, but that looks like Dan Kell's made that move work. And now Colin Turkington, is he really going to go around the outside there? Haven't seen that yet. And no, looks like that is going to be P3 for Kell, and Tad holding on to P4 for the moment anyway.
Turkington coming under a bit of pressure as well from Bobby Thompson, who's moved his way from outside of the top 10, has zero weight on that vehicle, up into 6th position. Josh Malin as well, who's looked pretty quick throughout this race. Max Coates and Cam Brewster going side by side a bit further down the order. That's what we're looking at now. Max Coates in 13th position, Cameron Brewster in 14th, Scott Sovik and John Munro, this quartet of drivers battling for the final few points. Turkington with...
yeah, he's managed to make that work down the inside of
Bobby Thompson though. Yeah, Bobby Thompson's moved up to 4th.
Yeah.
In all of that. So Bobby Thompson's got up to the 4th position, Colin Turkington in 5th, Max Tad in 6th, Josh Malin in 7th. This is getting pretty feisty. Bobby T doing a great drive up into 4th position.
Yeah, he went around the outside of Turkington and Tad in Druids. That's where he came out of nowhere, managed to pick up those 2 positions. Really good move. Tad up into 4th position, and now Turkington's all the way over the back of him. Again, coming towards Paddock Hill Bend.
I think Bobby Thompson, started from down in 18th position. Oh, contact, Max Tad. Max Tad and Josh Malin. Yeah, he's had to do a few of those. Colin Turkington now is going to look down the inside of Bobby Thompson. Of course, both British touring car drivers. Now Josh Malin looks down the inside of Max Tad. The background is going to be contact between the two of them at Druids corner. As Daniel Hurlock as well, Chaz Draycott in the background going side by side. So Josh Malin's gained a position, Max Tad to 7th. Daniel Hurlock gains 8th position, and Chaz Draycott down to 9th. As Cameron Brewster, by the way, has got by Max Coates. We're keeping an eye on Colin Turkington, who is just trying to get by Bobby Thompson. Ryan Elliott has got 3.1 seconds behind Chris Butcher, but has got a couple of seconds on Dan Kell. I don't see that changing at any point here. Colin Turkington now going back down the inside, and it looks like a pretty good drive there for the BMW driver on the inside of the Vauxhall, heading towards the first corner once again for the 22nd time of asking. Colin Turkington heavy on the brakes. Bobby Thompson going to try and switch it back down the inside. Oh, that is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Bobby Thompson back down the inside. Now Colin Turkington going to try and hang it around the outside. A little touch of contact between the two of them. And Bobby Thompson's going to hang on to 4th.
Yeah, it's great racing here. That switchback coming around Paddock Hill Bend into Druids has been used by so many drivers, and it worked effectively on that occasion as well. And Josh Malin in the background going off wide out of Graham Hill Bend. Well, Turkington here, down into to 5th place. Is he able to get Thompson in that corner? No, he can't quite yet, so he's going to be losing out on points to Ryan Elliott as it stands, but he will be starting high in the 3rd race coming up in a bit too. But for now, can he get further points here with Bobby Thompson? Not quite into turn number 1. Another big lock-up. He's done that a few times. His tyres won't be liking that if he does it too many times, but it seems Thompson is holding off pretty well for now.
Yeah, there's Butchie leading the way. Currently has that 3.5 second lead over Ryan Elliott, who Ryan Elliott will maintain the points lead considering the positions at the moment, but Chris Butcher should be good money in that third race rather, because obviously we've got a reverse grid coming up after this. Colin Turkington desperate to try and find a way through. We've got Chaz Draycott and Daniel Hurlock here, 8th and 9th position. Battling away. Max Tad just ahead of this. Myles Dixon not too far back off that. Luke Bennett as well. All pretty tight as we head to 2 laps to go for the second race here at Brands. Once again, Colin Turkington not able to get by. That's in the bottom right of your screen. Not able to find a way through on Bobby Thompson at the moment. Might go for a little bit of a cutback and a slightly better drive through Paddock Hill. Is the door going to be open wide for him, though? Josh Malin's definitely closing in on this. Going to look to demote the 4-time BTCC champion out of the top 5.
Turkington's really getting close now, but just like we saw in race number 1, he couldn't quite make a move work. So maybe that BMW is lacking a couple of areas towards the Astra. That it's making it a little bit harder for him to be able to make this move, but it's going to be only one more lap in this race. So one more chance, but he has
look at that drive, though. Look at that drive.
Out of clearways, and he's going to have the inside towards Paddock Hill Bend, although they're going to be completely side by side, so he's going to have to do something on the brakes here to make this work, as Thompson's going to hold it around the outside, but Turkington managed to keep that, and this could open the door to Malin as well. But Turkington doesn't get the best exit, so Thompson's going to get down the inside as they pass another car there, letting them through. 2 cars there actually letting them through.
3 wide, Josh Malin's going to take big advantage of that whilst there's contact. Wow.
Malin managed to make that work as well. Double overtake, so Turkington still in 5th place as he overtakes and then gets basically that position back as well as they come down towards the final corner. Chris Butcher is going to be coming out of the final corner to take the win for the second race here. Good job to him. Obviously had that weight advantage, but managed to make that work and managed to run off with it. Ryan Elliot will keep the points lead in second place. Danko almost getting him for the podium position. Malin with an awesome overtake on that final lap to get 4th position. Turkington in 5th. Thompson in 6th. Draycott getting 7th position. Hurlock just about keeping 8th from Max Tad and Calum Wilson in 10th. Brewster in 11th. Max Coates 12th. Sovik 13th. Munro is 14th, and Jiggy, despite going headfirst into the wall, might be able to get a final point here, unless Christian Kelly, who's going to bump him, is he going to let him have that? I think he might do, and Jiggy gets the final point here in race 2.
Yeah, mad race there. I don't even know where to look after that one. It's been mad stuff. Well-deserved victory from Chris Butcher. Ryan Elliott, 4.9 seconds. Nearly came under pressure from Dan Kell at the end of that race as well. There are your race finishes. I don't even know who to pick from that.
Crazy race. If you mean picking driver of the race, you probably could say Chris Butcher, because he started in, was it 5th position, I believe. Managed to make that work. Turkington just kept getting pushed back in that race. So yeah, we'll have to see what we can do in 3rd place. But he is, sorry, in the 3rd race. But he is struggling a little bit with the overtakes. Is Colin Turkington, but 5th place still a decent result. And then we'll get that points table for you in a couple of moments' time, so you can see who is leading the way.
Yeah, just trying to get to that at the moment. But for me, Bobby Thompson, that was a great drive from well outside the points to grab his first points from a P6. Maybe it wasn't the 4th place that he wanted, but it was pretty close.
So forgive me for being a new guy to the weight penalties, but is the weight penalties done before the reverse or after the reverse?
Before. So it's these positions. So
okay.
Butcher will get 60.
Yes.
He's going to be a big heavy boy in this race.
And starting lower down as well. So that's going to be a bit difficult to make up positions. So these points could be all messed up a little bit. Well, messed up in a good way. And maybe someone else can get a win in the 3rd race. Someone maybe we haven't seen just yet. But here we have the result, the standings on the screen.
Oh, they are not up to date yet. Those are not the up to date points. So don't take anything from those at the moment.
I think they are just being ordered now, I believe. There we go. They are now in the
They're
correct order.
not even up to date. They're not up to date. They're not finished. Okay. Fair enough. It's fine. We'll ignore that for now, and we'll do something else. Chris Butcher, though, with a race victory, I think he's going to be pretty good money to come up the order. Not sure what's happening with the reverse grid. It's a full reverse grid. My goodness.
Yes. Yes.
I thought it was just the standard BTCC one, but no, it's the full reverse grid. So, well, it's going to be very interesting. Who's going to come out on top of this? No idea.
Well, okay, I'm not really sure what to say now, because this means, I believe, looking down, I think that might be Ben Brown who will have pole from Dave Marshall, Rob Cross, and Daniel Rowbottom, if my little picture is correct. So this means the points are going to be completely out of what we've been seeing normally, because the top 10 basically are going to be completely out of the points. So this is going to change the final standings, I would assume, unless someone can do a heroic effort to come from the back. Oh, and just a little update on our donations total. We're up to 92%, £921.42 of the £1,000 target. So if we could get that done by the end of the race, that would be greatly appreciated. And thank you for your donations and your support. If you have done that, it is great cause to be donating money to. And if we can get to that 100% total, that would be just amazing by the end of this race.
Indeed. Well, now we should have the points up to date, hopefully. And it should be, Ryan Elliott still on top. Chris Butcher's going to be in that second position, 4 points back, which was what we saw. 5 points back for Colin Turkington. But the rest in the top 15, this is where it could get very, very important to move up into that top 3. Is with it being a full reverse grid, let's be honest, it's going to be madness. It's whoever's going to come out on top of this. I have no idea. I would move. Sorry, Ryan. I'd move my favourite away from Ryan Elliott, as much as he is the points leader.
Mm-hmm. He's at the back.
It's not just that. I think his level of aggression will be good to come up the order, but I think it's that level where it's just a little bit too far past. It normally backfires quite dramatically. To be honest, and also with his tyres, with the weight, I think he's going to have a hard time coming up the order. I would say the favourites are the likes of Turkington, who's going to get a good start anyway, to win his own prize. Good lad. Dan Hurlock, that kind of would be my favourites for taking a victory. Not in the race necessarily, but in the point scores that we've got.
But it's so difficult, because if you want to get into the points and you're starting at the back, you've literally got to pass 15 people just to get into the points. And as we know, there has been a couple of instances towards the back, but I think there might be a situation where, for instance, Turkington, Elliot, Butcher, etc., maybe don't even get points at all.
Indeed. Well, there are your points standing heading into that very final race, a full reverse grid. We should be underway pretty shortly for that third race. It was supposed to start 5 minutes ago, but because of delays to the second race, and we also have it's a mandatory 5-minute break, so we wouldn't go for at least another minute into that race. I'm getting excited. I think this one's going to be a little bit hard to follow.
It's going to be crazy as well, because the people starting at the front potentially haven't been at the front of the grid all day, and there might be a couple of people who are maybe a little bit newer to some of these races as well. So we'll have to see how they go. But it looks like Dave Marshall and Rob Cross are going to be your front row for the third race here. And then Daniel Rowbottom as well. And then Jack Oliphant finally being in a good position. He has had 2 bad races, to put it politely, losing his front bumper in both of the first 2 races. So I have to see what they can do and if they can perform while being given the opportunity to. But the race is still 20 minutes long, so still plenty of time for things to happen.
My favourite for the race victory in this, to be fair, I think goes quite simply to the man Rowbottom, because he did very well in that race to climb his way up the order, and then sort of didn't really work out. Let's say that. But I think he's got the pace to take a victory. We'll get ready for the final race here. Of course, the Simply Race VMO British Touring Car Championship charity event in support of the Trussell Trust, working to stop UK hunger and poverty. Of course, we've got that link that constantly that appears. If you can drop anything in there, tiny.cc/SRTCUK. It's obviously a great event to do, and we've had so many generous donations across the entire run that's been open. Like you said, it's gone up to 90. Was it up now?
2%, 92%.
92%. You are indeed. That is a lot of money to make for charity. So thank you to everyone who has made a part of that. We're going to bring you the third race, which is about to start now. Getting ready then for the reverse grid race. You can see the grid there. Once again, super tight. Dave Marshall going to be on that pole position from Rob Cross. Rob Cross is actually a very good shout because he was battling with Dan Kell earlier in that second race. They're going to be lined up on the front row. Daniel Rowbottom, Jack Oliphant, who could make a good start here as well. It is going to be pretty mad, this one, Cam.
It's going to be absolutely crazy indeed. There are a few guys up here who were towards the front in, or towards maybe the middle of the pack in some races, but so it's going to give them a good opportunity for someone to get some good points, and we could see someone completely different take a win, which is going to be great. And hopefully this time we can have a fairly clean lap one, because unfortunately there's been a couple of crashes on the opening laps, but that is what happens when you send 30 plus cars down into Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, well, just very quickly, just read out the prizes, what everyone's fighting for, of course, in this championship. The winner of the championship. We're going to restart here because the grid's wrong, so don't panic too much. Just give it 1 second. I've only just noticed that pop up. We will get that third race momentarily. Don't worry. The winner of this whole thing gets 2 BMW M4 experience vouchers and a signed Colin Turkington image, which I don't think Colin Turkington himself would. I mean, he can drive an M4 anywhere and probably has plenty of pictures of himself signed. So the non-invitationals, thank you. Okay, so the non-invitationals. So Colin Turkington can't win a picture of himself. Good shout. The runner-up also gets the same prize. So 2 BMW M4 experience vouchers, which is a very nice prize, by the way.
It's good. I'd love that.
I'd take a signed picture of Colin Turkington as well. I want one anyway. And then for third place, you get a BMW goodie bag. What that entails, I'm sure that person will find out, and also a signed photograph of Colin Turkington. So a decent price, at least. But yeah, I did not, I'm afraid, our broadcast director. We don't know. We don't know what's in the goodie bag. They know. Who knows? It might be a key to an M4 yourself. Probably not.
It'll have a mug.
Bit mad.
It'll have a mug in it. Every gift set has a mug, and that is great. My cupboard is filled with them from various events and stuff that I've been to over the years. They're great. I have a cup of tea and a different mug each day.
Have you got an FSR mug? Oh, I do with a cup of tea now.
I do not actually, but that might be another thing on the list.
You need to get FSR, Simply Race, VMO. We need to get branded mugs from your various sim racing communities. Of course, those of you that are joining sim racing broadcast for the very first time here, it's nice to have you along. It's nice to see what's going on. Sort of join in if you want to take part. Of course, there's plenty of communities across sim racing which you can come and take a part in. Of course, VMO launching their championship a little bit later in the year. It should be next month, I believe. I think it was May. I think it's what I said in the video. And of course, that will be a great one. We're all ready to go then for race 3. Who's your pick for the victory then?
Rowbottom. Oh, just no idea why. Just because.
I just got a message from Dan Kell after race 2. He just said, "Get in, sent it on Turks."
It's great to see that he's enjoying racing a real champion, which is a great opportunity for someone like him, because I would assume he's probably not done that before.
He's raced me. I'm a champion.
But you are a champion. That is true.
So are you?
I am. Twice. I've had the pleasure of winning 2 sim racing championships, which is great. But unfortunately, not in touring cars because that is not my forte. But you won it in a Ford, didn't you?
I did win it
with
Ford.
with this mod.
Not quite this mod, different physics. By the way, I've just got a message as well from Toby Davis, who was also one of the heads of THR, good friend to Chris Butcher. Met him once, races in was it Sirocco's? I think it was something like that. But met Butcher as well before, of course, trying to support his good friend who's also supported him. It's always good to see a nice bit of support across the community, even those that aren't part of sim racing anymore.
And can I just say, as we've come up to this final race, we are only £23 away from reaching the donation total. So thank you very much. And hopefully during this third race, we can reach that total. And that will be a brilliant way to round off an amazing 3 races here at Brands Hatch Indy as we come to start this final race.
Yeah, 97%. So thank you everyone who has been so generous with your donations. This final race, Dave Marshall going to be starting it from that pole position. Rob Cross alongside Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger commentating on the action. Well, Paulie, I mean, you decide. I don't really mind. It's been a fun event though. This has been absolute madness. Your first foray into commentating on touring cars. I'm sure you've had a bit of a laugh.
It's crazy. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. The action is a lot more sort of aggressive. And, everyone's just sort of going for every single gap that they see. It's
touring cars, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
It's not like that open world FSR lark where thankfully no one sits behind each other in that. We all go racing. It's good fun. Should go and give yourself a plug on that. But the third race about to get underway. Dave Marshall is on the inside. Rob Cross on the outside. And who's going to get the best launch? Jack Oliphant in 4th position. Going to be in the rear wheel drive as well. We're about to get racing then for the full reverse grid here in the British Touring Car Charity event, and it's Rob Cross who's got the best start, and that is a nice start. Oh, Kostas Avram, the wildcard entry as well, the random draw wildcard, up into 2nd position. There's a bit of contact. Dave Marshall being spun out from Daniel Rowbottom. Oh, a bit of contact again, manages to keep hold as they're 4 wide in the background. Will Tregurtha up into 5th position. There's contact into the wall, goes an MG. There's big old contact. I think that was Brown. Getting into things. It's been a bit mad.
Yeah, loads of contact here in the background. Daniel Hyde was being pushed sideways by someone. That looked absolutely crazy. Quite a few cars around here. Chris Butcher's round. Chris Butcher, one of our leaders of the championship so far, is round. And Max Coates has just been spun round as well. Daniel Hyde, yeah, quite a few instances in the back. Turkington has made his way up 11 places to 16th overall at this moment in time. Max Tad in 19th position for your drivers who started a bit further down, but it seems like it's just calmed down a little bit. But as always, there's so much action here at Brands Indy on that one.
Yeah, the non-invitational drivers that have made their way up the order. Dan Kell as well has followed Colin Turkington up and has made up some decent positions and pulled some daylight between Ryan Elliot and Chris Butcher and himself. So I think Dan Kell's in a pretty good position here. I think he might just sit behind Colin Turkington and try and work his way through. Christian Kelly's not happy with something that's gone on. Rob Cross, though, is clearing off into the distance. Dave Marshall trying to apply much pressure after he's had some mistakes in the first lap. Ben Brown receives a drive-through penalty from the live race steward. Ryan Elliott is the current man on screen. He's got Max Tad directly behind him, Chaz Draycott directly behind that, and Cam Brewster, the man he's eyeing up, who's just been passed by Bobby T.
There's so many drivers here side by side. We've got Dan Calum and Turkington going back at it down into turn 1 as well, so tons of action here. We've got Mike Epps going over the curb, so these drivers are all still trying to work their way out into some sort of position, and I think Turkington is going to send it on Paul ONeil, not quite actually, on this lap.
I bet he'd love to do that.
Well, yeah. One good thing about sim racing is obviously there's no injuries and such like that, so you can be a little bit more aggressive than maybe you would to some of your rivals and competitors.
Yeah, Paul ONeil. Oh, he's going off. But no, he caught it though. Clear ways. Colin Turkington's going to sneak on through. Dan Kell, I think, is also going to sneak through on the ITV BTCC broadcaster commentator. It's not really a commentator. He's the Ted Kravitz of ITV BTCC. There you go. Whoa! That was Paul
ONeil unfortunately swipe it across Dan Cal.
And I'm sure that's not the first time we said that contact into turn 1 either, because behind them there's like 5 cars here. This may not be for points at the moment in 17th, 18th place, but all these cars, including Ryan Elliot, your points leader, currently not on the points, but he's getting involved with all these cars. And Max Tad is sends it on Paul ONeil. Plenty of contact into Graham Hill Bend there.
Yeah, towards the top end of the field. Luke Bennett, by the way, on the back of Will Tregurtha. Jiggy has moved up past Kostas Avram, who's had a good start to the race, but unfortunately is coming under attack from Dan Hurlock. My goodness, he's had a good start, hasn't he?
Yeah, 8th position he's managed to work his way up to, and he's going to get another position here as Kostas goes off into the gravel, keeps out of the barrier. Good job, but he's going to drop loads of places there, down into about 15th place for Kostas.
Yeah, that's it's been a good drive so far for Dan Hurlock. Currently in the points positions, he is 5th. 23 points to his name. He's only 2 behind Dan Cal, and only 14 off of the lead. So if he gets up onto the podium position and say, for example, Ryan Elliot doesn't score any points, Dan Hurlock could be in a good position here to move up.
Yeah, right on the back of Jiggy, as you say. If he can get himself up to 6th place, that'll be pretty good in terms of the points, considering that Ryan Elliott is in 18th. Chris Butcher was down in 22nd as well.
Yeah, we're currently looking, there's Myles, Dixon moving up a position, trying to defend though from Ben Brown. Scott Sovik directly behind. Tom Brooks, Mike Epps as well. There's a bit of contact there from Ben Brown down the inside. Still yet to serve a drive-through penalty is Ben Brown. Miles Dixon should be able to hang on to 8th position here, picking that inside line. Ryan Elliott's been off. Ryan Elliott's been off. Championship points leader off behind Butcher now. Oh, down to 22nd place.
Yeah, that's not great because he's now about 6-7 seconds behind the points, probably a bit more by the time he gets up to speed as well. So this could be a turning of the tables with regard to the standings.
Yeah, Brown's off as well, not sure who with. That's another free position, but he's been off the road, promoting Dan Kell up another couple. Colin Turkington as well, who's now on the back of Josh Malin. We're currently looking at Max Tad, who's trying to keep ahead of Kostas Avram, who he's just got by, and then Mike Epps directly ahead, who's I think he was one that was involved in that incident. He's dropped back a few positions himself. Race leader, by the way, still Rob Cross, 0.7 of a second clear at the top of the field. Daniel Rowbottom 2 seconds back, not able to really get involved. Tom Brooks has picked up a cut on the previous lap. And he's defending from Josh Malin and Colin Turkington, who is continuing to make some very solid progress up this field.
Yeah, he still has a bit of a way to go to get towards Dan Hurlock up in 7th place, but he's still doing a decent job there, down in 12th, and he's now getting right on the back of Josh Malin. And he, in fact, might be able to get up the inside, or not quite. Josh just covered that off. But once again, Colin is getting really close to someone down into turn 1. Is he trying to try it around the outside? No, he's going to try and get the cut back towards Druids. But I don't think he quite got the exit on this occasion.
Indeed, Tom Brooks getting dive from Josh Malin. Oh, that's a good move. That is just ahead of this. Rather, we're looking at Jiggy at the moment. He's trying to get past by, he's trying to fend off Dan Hurlock, who's got by. Another position for Hurlock.
And just in 9th place, got Scott Sovik going off in Graham Hill Bend as well behind Miles Dixon, and I don't think we've actually mentioned Myles today, but he's found himself in 8th position. But he's got all these cars behind him. Look at this for 8th position. So many cars all coming so close to each other down towards turn number 1. Just behind them we've got Turkington and Dan Kell again going at it. They've been doing that for a couple of races now.
Yeah, we'll see if Dan will send me a nice message afterwards about how he sent it on Colin Turkington. Oh, there's Oliphant off. Oh, he's already been off this one.
Oh, Sovik sends it down the inside of Dixon.
Yeah.
In Druids. And can he get the exit and hold it around the outside of Graham Hill Bend, which would be a position for him? No, he couldn't quite make it work, but there's some contact.
Went for the cut back too early.
Yeah, some contact, unfortunately, on the wrong side, which pushed him wide. And I mean, it's hard to keep up with all of this. These guys are changing so quickly. And now Turkington's actually up into 10th place, so he's gained a couple of positions somewhere. Bobby Thompson's getting involved as well. God, look at all these cars. There's about 6 or 7
Brooks,
of them.
Dan Kell as well getting involved. I think Tom Brooks is going to be good money to get by Colin Turkington here. A little bit of a push from Dan Kell, getting down the inside. They're going to be 3 wide on the start-finish straight. That's Bobby Thompson on the outside, Colin Turkington in the middle, and Tom Brooks down the inside, and he's going to gain those positions. So, but there we go. Beautiful cutback from your champ. Colin Turkington back down the inside, heavy on the brakes. Tom Brooks going to drop a position. Dan Kell as well, going side by side. Bobby Thompson gets down the inside of Tom Brooks and gains that position. Dan Kell now side by side with his teammate, the guy who took over from him yesterday, well, replaced him, should I say, yesterday to take that victory in the Virtual Endurance Championships GTE class. They're now 3 wide. Tom Brooks, oh, there's contact between the two. There's going to be pinching. They're all still alive somehow. Oh, maybe not. No, maybe,
yes.
Mike Epps, yes, they're all still alive. Max Tad now getting involved in this. Dan Kell there, and again, they're 3 wide, pinching away.
This is crazy. This is only for like the last couple of points as well, 14th position and whatnot. But now we've got Max Tad side by side. They're just behind them. Dan Kell. Oh, Max Tad sends it down the inside. That's going to be a spinner from Mike
Dan Kell's
Epps.
off. Dan Kell's off. Tom Brooks as well. Dan Kell, Kostas Abram. That is, who else was that involved? Scott Sovik as well, massively off the road. That is big.
God, yeah, position changing all the time here. It's really. Really crazy how much these drivers are going for it once they finally got their confidence in this final race. Scott Sovik DNF, unfortunately suspension damage for him, so will not be getting any points or anything today in this race at least. And Turkington now up into 9th place, made another position on Malin there. Malin might get under pressure now from Bobby Thompson getting himself up the inside towards Paddock Hill Bend turn number 1 of this Brands Indy track, but Malin's going to hold it around the outside, but he's going to actually let that one go.
Yeah, Mike Epps does a fair few laps in touring cars, and in sim racing wise, he's been involved for a little bit, of course, in LMP2, won in the GTR 24 Hour of Le Mans. That was in Denmark, a LAN event for them over there. I was there. You were there.
Yes.
Maybe a better event for me as a commentator than it was for you as a driver, but nevertheless, he did end up winning that race even after a monstrous crash for like 3 hours to go, thanks to a cheeky bit of lag. But definitely a driver that's well versed in multiple different cars. Keeping an eye though on what's heading towards the top end of the field. That one on your main screen, that is Rob Cross defending from Dave Marshall. He's going to try and stick it around the outside of Druids. Oh, didn't make that one stick. Ben Brown out of the race completely.
And Kostas got a drive-through penalty for that collision that we saw in turn number 1 involving Dan Kell and I think it was Scott Sovik, you said, as well. So penalties are still being dished out here. And this battle for the lead is still going on. Dave Marshall on Rob Cross coming around Clearway's final corner. Still very close between these drivers, and just behind them Luke Bennett and Daniel Rowbottom also fighting for the podium. So still plenty of places at the front to be sorted out in the last 10 minutes as we're in the last half of this race 3.
Yeah, that's Myles Dixon sitting on the front bumper of Colin Turkington in your bottom right, battle for 8th position. That's 6 seconds off the back of Jiggy. I think this might be potentially one of the better positions that the likes of Colin Turkington, Bobby Thompson, that lot can get. So that 8th position is what they're really battling for. On your screen, still Rob Cross, Dave Marshall. Behind this, not too far back, Daniel Rowbottom, Luke Bennett. We'll see how much these drivers can keep in touch with their tyres as well, because you definitely need a deft touch to keep in control of all of this. It's a bit of a tricky juggling act, racing as hard as you can whilst looking after tyres. Oh, it's a good drive from Dave Marshall though. Where's he going to go? Inside, outside for Paddock Hill? I don't think he's really close enough unless he's going to look down the inside, maybe commit something. He does. He is committed late. Rob Cross almost doesn't really fight that one. Dave Marshall then up into the lead of the final race here at Brands Indy. Oh, Rob Cross going to go back down the inside. There's going to be a touch of contact between the two here. That's not a pretty move from Rob Cross. Not so great.
But it's a move and he's managed to make it work. So yeah, Dave's going to have to do that all over again. It's a really good move by him down into Paddock Hill Bend. I couldn't quite make that work. He's flashing Rob all the way down that straight, which you told me earlier and I forgot the name of.
I think it's Brabham, I think, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe Brabham's the start finish one.
No, it's the Brabham straight, I think you are correct. But yeah, Dave coming up again towards Paddock Hill Bend. Not quite as close, but we've seen how good he was on the brakes into Paddock Hill Bend.
Bottom right of your screen as well, you've got Colin Turkington get down the inside of Myles Dixon. This could be good for the move. I'd say with that move between Dave Marshall, by the way, Dave just didn't really cover it off as much as he maybe needed to. Colin Turkington, though, down the inside of Myles Dixon, trying to battle his way up into 8th position. Great drive off the final corner, though, from the front-wheel drive of Myles Dixon. He's going to manage to hang on, especially with a good bit of brake in there from Dixon. Now going to cover off the inside into Druids and Bobby Thompson. Bobby T's going to go around the outside. We've got Daniel Rowbottom with Luke Bennett. Oh, they're 3 wide. Myles Dixon, Bobby Thompson, and Josh Malin making it 3 wide. Josh Malin's going to grab a position. Bobby Thompson grabs a couple and now sits on the back of Colin Turkington. Josh Malin and Myles Dixon still side by side. Myles Dixon retakes that position. A bit of a cutback there from Malin, but not able to make it stick. So Colin Turkington's gaining a position. A bit of contact there from Bobby Thompson. Oh, there's further contact. Oh, it's getting a bit dicey out there, Cam.
Oh yeah, we've got back for the lead now. Dave Marshall sends it on the inside of Rob Cross into Druids Bend. Has he made that work? I think he actually has, but Rob Cross is not giving up just yet down into Graham Hill. But looks like this time Dave Marshall managed to make that work. He sent it up the inside of Druids, just got his nose up the inside, and he has got the lead of this race.
Yeah, Dave Marshall there then taking the lead by 0.2 of a second. That was a nice move, but he's going to have a bit of defending to keep Rob Cross behind. Daniel Rowbottom, whilst all this battle is going on, he is closing in and pulling Luke Bennett with him. Will Tregurtha's not too far off. Dan Hurlock, rather, the other Dan, in 6th position, and Jiggy managing to hang on to the back of him. Bobby Thompson ahead of Colin Turkington, Josh Malin, Myles Dixon, and Mike Epps rounding out that top 12. And then it's Max, Tad, Munro, Kell rounding out the points paying position. So Kell is scoring a point at the moment. It's not going to be enough points to move him anywhere really in that championship.
And we are now just £8 away from making that £1,000 total, £991.42. So if anyone would like to make that final donation or two, that would be greatly appreciated for a great cause.
Yeah, of course, the Trussell Trust, we're back in here. Very, very close, very generous at nearly £1,000 made, which is it's very nice. There is Abbie Eaton, 3 laps down at the moment. It's not been a great race. Does jump ahead of Max Coates though, who's in the pit lane. So yeah, still circulating. That's good. Had a good run in the second race, but yeah.
I was just going to mention, Dave Marshall has now pulled his second gap almost to Rob Cross, and Rowbottom is getting all over the back of Rob Cross, I would assume, in the next lap or so. So I wonder if Rob has just maybe worn his tyres a little bit too much or something like that, because he has started to drop off quite a bit from Marshall.
Yeah, we've got on our screen Colin Turkington again, still trying to find his way through on Bobby Thompson. He's getting bored of seeing these Vauxhalls in front of him, isn't he? He's just like, oh, for goodness sake, another one. Where he can get by Bobby Thompson, though, of course, 2 touring car drivers. It's good to see these two going wheel to wheel. Flinging it over the curbs at Surtees and then bringing it back down to speed and trying to get a good run. Thing is Colin Turkington can't really line it up the way he wants to, although he is going to get back down the inside. Oh, he's just got the overlap, but Bobby Thompson says no. No, thank you. You have to back out of that. Now, this is what I was going to say. Josh Malin directly behind. Now going to go around the outside of Paddock Hill. He's going to have to be very committed to go through there. Oh, a bit of contact between the two. Manages to keep it there. That was a ballsy move from Josh Malin and well stuck.
Oh, and just going to say, it's Dan Hurlock's round. Dan Hurlock is round at Graham Hill Bend. Turn number 3 on the course. He's actually your highest place driver as well, who was... Oh, someone else is round in the background.
Josh Malin
is round, so 2 cars off in the space of about 10 seconds. And so, yeah, Dan Hurlock is down into 7th place. Where's Malin going to rejoin? That's going to be 16th place.
Nearly
Josh
Malin. Brooks as well. We've got Rowbottom on screen on the back of Rob Cross as well. That was a bit mad. These point scores are going to take me about half a year to do after this race.
Changing all the time, but that is just what you get when you go touring car racing around a really small track. It's been brilliant racing so far.
Yeah, he's going to come out on top of this. I'd say Dave Marshall's swung in a very big favour. What have you seen?
And we have made the donation total, so thank you very much to everyone who has managed to make that work. We have crossed over the £1,000, £1,021.42 as we currently stand, so your donations are greatly appreciated from the Trussell Trust, and we're happy to be giving you this racing to entertain you while doing it.
Yeah, thank you very much for all of your generosity. By the way, P2, Rob Cross, Dan Rowbottom going side by side. There it is. Dan Rowbottom gains a position now, 2.4 seconds off the lead with only 2 minutes to go. That was a great cutback though from Rob Cross as Dan Rowbottom goes a little bit too wide. I was going to say he's maybe a little bit too far off the lead to go and threaten Dave Marshall. I think that might actually stand. Rob Cross though, a little bit of contact between the two. Dan Rowbottom being pushed off the road at Druids. Now 3rd position, so hold position. Luke Bennett, Will Tregurtha now closing in on this.
And this battle for second is actually absolutely raging on, coming down towards the last 2 minutes. So I think there's only going to be 3 laps left in this race, maybe plus or minus 1. Let's see what Rowbottom could do. Although he actually lost a bit of time on that lap, and now Tregurtha is getting up the inside of Luke Bennett for 4th position. So Tregurtha there into 4th, Jiggy sitting behind them, and 6th doesn't look like he's going to be getting involved.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit too far back. Oh, there's contact between Rowbottom and Cross, and Rowbottom's going to gain that position, maybe in a little bit of controversial fashion. Tregurtha up to the podium. I mean, nice from Tregurtha. Not too sure about that move from Danny Rowbottom, but Rob Cross there demoted a couple of positions. Luke Bennett now going to try and get involved with this. Which way is he going to look? We've got Dan Kell currently on screen, who's moved up into 12th position through all of this, and currently none of his colleagues, rivals,
yes.
Thank you. It's all the same, isn't it? Are really close enough to threaten. He's not moved up into a strong enough position to gain a bit more, but I think he's going to end this. I think he's going to end it in 4th, actually, because I think Daniel Hurlock is going to jump him quite comfortably.
Now, though, Luke Bennett's looking at Rob Cross quite a lot now. He's managed to make the switch back down the inside to Druids. Rob is coming across to defend, but he can't quite do that. So Luke Bennett now up into 4th position. But at the front is David Marshall coming to start, well, I believe will be the final lap, but he's got over 3-second gap, so he has got this race done and dusted. It is just the battle for the podium that still really left to be decided.
Yeah, Tregurtha on the back of Daniel Rowbottom. After this, there will be 1 more lap to go in this event, and it has most certainly been a good one. It's been very, very exciting. Rob Cross has been passed by Jiggy now as well. Top 5 now goes Jiggy Gornall. Of course, James. Doing a great job. Where's Tregurtha going to go? Going to try and stick it around the outside, maybe go for a cut back and look down the inside for Druids. He does so. He is there, but there's been contact between the two, and that's going to stop all of Will Tregurtha's momentum. He's still going to try and make it stick there. There's contact between the two. Oh, it was late. It was late. But Will Tregurtha up into 2nd position. Aggressive move. Nice, though. I appreciate that. That was very ballsy there from Will Tregurtha. Now up into 2nd position. Fantastic work. Dan Hurlock's moving down the order, gotten past by Colin Turkington, by the way. But whilst all this is going on, at the top of the field, took the lead from Rob Cross, ran away with it, and Dave Marshall is going to be victor. Oh, there's been contact between the two. Dan Rowbottom and Will Tregurtha. There must have been contact between the two of them there at Clearways. Dave Marshall is going to win the race. Daniel Rowbottom is going to take a moderately controversial 2nd position. Will Tregurtha is going to get a well-deserved 3rd. Luke Bennett, Jiggy Gornall rounds out the top 5. Then it's Rob Cross, who, you know, didn't really have the best run at those last few laps. Bobby Thompson beats Colin Turkington over the line. Someone who got a penalty? Is it Mike Epps? Someone received a penalty there post-race, which is basically... I don't know who it was. Someone's received one anyway, because they've moved down the order massively. It's promoted Hurlock up to 9th position, Myles Dixon, Dan Kell to 11th, Josh Malin, John Munro, Chris Butcher does score a couple of points, but it's not going to be enough to beat. I mean, I've not done the points, but I can tell you that Ryan Elliot has already won that.
So we'll get the points to you in just a second. But what a crazy end that was to the race. And yes, I believe it was Rowbottom absolutely sent up the inside of Tregurtha. It was absolutely crazy into that final corner. But it was Rowbottom who came out on that 2nd position.
Yeah, indeed. It's a good podium as well from Will Tregurtha. I mean, he probably wanted 2nd, but maybe not so much. It's been pretty tight, but Dave Marshall there with a very nice victory, and of course, big thanks to everyone who's taken part in the donations. We've passed 100%. We've passed £1,000 going to the Trussell Trust. Fantastic work. Thank you to everyone. We've gone £41 past it as well, so we've even hit 104%. So thank you everyone so very, very much for that, and thank you to all of our drivers. Thank you to those that have come along, the invitational drivers like Colin Turkington, Paul ONeil, Bobby Thompson, Dan Rowbottom, all that lot. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been
Quite a crazy event, I'll say that. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, it's absolutely great. It's good to experience some touring cars. That is for sure. From my side specifically.
Yeah, it's your race result finishes there. I think there's a few people that have left. I don't know if it's 100% at the moment. I don't really know what more to say. We'll get those points down to you in just a moment once they're updated. So don't you panic. But I'm pretty sure Ryan Elliot will come out on top anyway. It's been madness. Ryan Elliot didn't have to do too much in that final race because everyone was all over the place. Dan Kell was in a good position. Dan Hurlock as well in a good position. But they did so much work in those first few races. Did Ryan Elliot and Chris Butcher? I think it's secured them those positions. Of course, those are the positions that the drivers actually qualified to get those prizes. A reminder of what those prizes are. First and second both get BMW M4 experience vouchers and a signed Colin Turkington image. And then third place gets a BMW goodie bag with a signed Colin Turkington image. Unfortunately, the joke is that Colin Turkington can't win his own prize, which is very sad, really.
Okay, I believe points are ready.
Well, let's have a look and see what's going on. I think from all of that, Ryan Elliot, there we go, 38 points to his name, is going to take top honours. Oh, look at that. My goodness me. Colin Turkington in second position, only 2 points behind. Pretty tight. God, imagine if there was a championship following this. Chris Butcher is then second of the drivers that had to qualify, so he'll receive the M4 experience as well. Dan Kell and Dan Hurlock locked on points. I don't know what the count back is, but I'm pretty sure it'll go to something like a highest finish, which of course Dan Kell had that podium in the second race, which should mean it goes his way, but I don't have confirmation on that. But I think it might be Dan Kell in third, receiving that goodie bag. You can see the rest of the top 15 there. So you've got Hurlock, you've got Dave Marshall after that race victory, scored 9 points before those 20 that he picked up. Then Bobby T ran out the top 8. Max Tad, maybe a bit of an inconsistent drive across the event. Could have had some decent speed in that. Ninth position for him. Josh Malin ran out the top 10. Then crossed Tregurtha, Bennett, Gornall, and Munro rounding out the top 15. Cam, any final thoughts?
It's just an absolutely brilliant event, and brilliant that we could get past that donation total as well. So yeah, it's just absolutely unbelievable. We just had another donation as well, so 106% we've reached. So that's just absolutely amazing. Brands Indy has given us 3 amazing races, really close races. Awesome to see some top names in motorsport, but also British touring cars specifically getting involved as well.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that pretty much rounds us up here. We've had 3 races, 3 crazy races at Brands, of course, qualifying session. Thank you everyone to joining us as well as those that have put in some donations. The Simply Race VMO BTCC charity event has been, in my opinion, quite a good success. We've had some fun here. Myself, Lewis McGlade, Cameron Roger alongside, of course, Mike Yao doing all the cameras, then VMO and all that lot doing all the behind the scenes stuff. There's been a lot of work that's gone into it. So thank you all very much for watching. And until the next event, and of course until VMO's back for their touring car championship in May, well, we'll see you then. Goodbye.